Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Co-optional Podcast here on the 23rd of May 2017.
We were just talking about Overwatch porn.
Now
Jesse can't put us on blast because we put ourselves on blast.
Put us on blast, Jesse. We're so scared of what the internet's going to think of us because we say we like the Overwatch porn.
You mistake my intentions. No, it wasn't to insult you or make you look bad. It was to say, hey, internet, I'm not the only weird one who loves.
What do you mean weird one? Like, aren't the views like off the charts on Pornhub or something like that?
I'm not saying that there aren't a lot of weird people, but I'm saying comparatively to the rest of normal society who aren't looking up animated characters banging.
As far as we are aware, of course, that it's not something that they would readily admit to.
No, look, I'm an animation fan, okay?
Of course.
It's the art, I see.
Yeah. I go on.
You're a connoisseur. You got to know, like, what's going on in the porn world of animation.
I
You
go
need
on
to keep
Pornhub
up on that stuff.
highest quality animation is obviously.
Yeah, just like if you have like a perfect looping GIF, it's just like super, does something to your heart as an artist.
Yeah, absolutely.
At this point, I'm very glad that I've never considered myself an artist.
Does something to me, I'll tell you that.
You do you.
Hey.
I mean, I don't need to tell you to do you, Jesse, in particular, but hey.
Yeah. Don't worry, it's being done.
Being done.
Hashtag total cocks.
On a daily basis, do not bring that ship up again.
Wait, that's a really good ship name.
It's real, don't worry.
Do not Google that.
I'm just saying, if you want to Google that, there's a lot of great fan art.
Oh.
Jesse just likes it because they always draw him super ripped for some reason.
Yes.
I first off have never looked better. Secondly, I don't think I don't have complaints. Why am I always the bottom? Every fucking time I'm getting plowed in the ass, and it's like, that's not cool with me.
Basically, you need to be more assertive.
That's just like the fan canon, though.
You know what?
You can't deny the fan canon.
On reality. I'm just suggesting that
we agreed not to discuss that here.
Everything has a root in reality. There was a kernel of truth there. So if one were to engage in a little self-reflection, then perhaps one might realize why it is that so many people draw that conclusion.
Because my ass is so supple. I get it.
Right. Okay, that's it. Yes. More cushion for the pushing.
So any good animation?
so
I hope not.
One can hope.
Welcome to the Co-optional Podcast. We do occasionally talk about video games. I guess there was never really going to be a good transition into what we were saying anyway, so it's not as if this is going to make much of a difference. Some people might say, well, that's jarring, but frankly, any transition into this is jarring, so let's just say it. As you're no doubt aware, there was a terrorist attack at an arena in Manchester, UK last night, which claimed the lives of over 20 innocent people, many of them young children, leaving hundreds injured. Our hearts go out to the friends and families of the victims, and with our thoughts on the UK at this difficult time, we'd like to observe a minute's silence for all of those affected by this horrific and senseless act of cowardice. If everybody could just do that. Anyone that's watching the show right now, anybody that's in chat, just keep it respectful for the victims of this tragedy. All right, thank you for that. And the show must go on, as it always does in situations like this. Our special guest today, voice actress, host of many a show on Geek and Sundry, live streamer, and all-around very busy person. Erika Ishii, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm so thrilled to be here.
Tell us a little bit about the many things that you're currently busy with, and also your relationship with the notorious COX over there who dragged you onto the show.
That's right. Yeah. Jesse and I keep running into each other. I think when I first started at Geek and Sundry, you had a show where you were playing retro games. Yeah. You had a show for a hot minute. And so I think that was where I first met you. So I am one of the hosts at Geek and Sundry. Let's see, gosh, how many shows do I have? I have 4 shows, 2 of which I produce. And it's amazing. I love working with Geek and Sundry. I love the community. It is the most aggressively positive, kind, and welcoming group of people. It's wonderful. So I have Geek and Sundry. I have my own Twitch channel, the Tiny Potatoes. They are also incredible people. They have done so much for charity and just have this incredible welcoming spirit. Voice acting, I've been fortunate enough to start like ramping things up in that regard. I just announced that there's going to be an indie real-time strategy Battlestar Galactica game,
Which I'm very excited about personally.
Yes!
I love both of those things.
I'm so nervous because
Don't
it's
screw it up.
such like a huge, yeah, exactly. Like it's a huge,
Just like go do it perfect. That's all.
Yeah, just
That's what we're
I
asking.
just utter perfection is the only thing that I ask for myself in the game, because I know how much it means to everybody, Battlestar, and to like be part of it is so daunting. But I hope it's gonna be fun.
Are you a
I hope
Cylon?
that I'm okay. Hey man,
You can't tell
like,
people
Straight up
that.
confirmed. Cylon.
Cylon for sure.
like, are we talking about in like real life now?
Yes, that's what I was. Yeah,
Yeah, now we are.
Oh,
of course,
man.
Toaster. Of course, I was.
We're going to have to get you in on a Battlestar Galactica board game session at some point then, because
Oh my gosh.
that would be
That's-
fun.
I'm so, man, if I were silent, I'd just be so bad at it though. I'm just so bad
Like
at
just
it.
having to keep your chill. Like
Yeah.
I couldn't do
Yeah.
it. I'd be like,
I'm
all right, I'm a
sorry.
Cylon. You got me.
Cylon.
You'd be surprised at how good players of that game are of convincing themselves of things that are not true. Despite, you're worried as a silent player in that game, will they find me out? But once they fixate on something, they don't let go of it. And it could be hours and hours of accusing an innocent person, and just over analyzing everything they've done. Just
R.I.P. Maggie.
Oh, Maggie got. Did we shoot her or airlock her? I can't remember.
It doesn't matter.
She wasn't a Cylon?
She was not.
No, she never's the son.
Not
She's never
even
the bad
close.
guy. She's always killed. Poor-
Surely Krender isn't stupid enough to bridge himself unless he's a Cylon, right?
Oh
that
my
must
God.
be it.
Oh,
A man put
no.
himself in the brig, Eric, just because he thought he could make this like literally the Cylons won. We were like, what is happening? Madness.
I mean, I have a problem with even like short-term hidden role games. Like I'll be, I confess I'm the werewolf.
Oh, no.
So I can't even imagine what it would be like for like having to maintain that chill for a couple of hours of strategy.
Yeah.
It's tricky. Yeah, definitely. Because, of course, if you're too quiet, people start to look your way.
Yeah, you get paranoid. I get paranoid. I'm like, oh god, I haven't said anything for a while. I must look really suspicious.
Yeah, better bring something up. Better contribute to the conversation in some way.
yeah.
Dude, I keep wondering, because there's that VR werewolf game that's gonna be
Yeah.
coming out, and I'm like,
yes.
I wonder if that would make it like, because one of the things about a game like Werewolf, right, is that you're constantly looking at people's
you
faces.
see people's faces and they have their
Yeah.
tells. So
Yeah.
like without that,
That'd be
yeah,
tricky.
how do you play it?
I'm
It'll
not
be
sure.
very tricky.
I never got the chance to do it. I know they had it at PAX last year. I didn't
Mhm.
quite.
They had a booth for it at TwitchCon too, and I didn't wind up
Yeah.
playing it because literally everybody wanted to play it, which
Sure,
I
yeah.
get. So
So there was something interesting that popped up on Touch Arcade yesterday on the subject of social deduction. So someone's making a social deduction mobile game that uses only one phone. It's called Triple Agent. So it's designed for you to be in a room with 5 to 9 players. And you're either working for the agency or a double agent for virus, or whatever that is. And players get information and events as their turn comes up on the phone, and they pass the phone around. So you see info that nobody else does. And it's got stuff like fingerprints and cool sort of
Oh,
controller
wow.
gimmicks. But the idea of doing a social deduction game using this one phone sounds really fun. That sounds like an interesting twist on things. Plus, it's nice to be portable. As nice as Secret Hitler is, I'm not carting that big one box around. That is not happening.
Right.
Bringing a phone to a convention, or if you just happen to be in a waiting room for 20 minutes, like, hey, let's play this. That's pretty cool. So, yeah, it's called Triple Agent. It's going into beta quite soon. I like the look of that one. That could be interesting. I want to know what they can do knowing that they're digital and see if they can expand the genre knowing that.
I mean, I love any like sort of in-person like couch co-op games, if you will.
Yeah.
Just because it fosters this sense of community and being together. And like there's other games where you like have like the name of a person and they have to guess, and those are like really just great for waiting
like
in line
phone
with
charades
people.
games.
Yeah, exactly. Phone charade games, and the idea of having a shared phone is great because it doesn't separate everybody else into being on their own phones.
Yes. Yeah. Means it's one of the walls out of the way. Even with stuff like, I don't know if you got a chance to play Space Team a few years ago. Yeah, that's great fun. But even though it's free, there's always the barrier of you've got to get somebody to download it. And like, I don't know if I'm into games. I don't know if I like this. Blah, blah, blah. I don't have the data, or my phone's running low on battery. So just one phone. As long as you don't drop the damn thing, I think that would be the problem with it. Make sure it's a phone with a good case that you're handing around. Not something,
right.
It's like, here's my new S8 with no case, and first person to grab it, bleh, straight on the floor. Right. Well, that is
also,
a very
one of
awkward
those
few minutes.
cases that has like the extra little battery
Yeah.
thing.
Oh, yeah.
So that it lasts a little bit longer.
Totally.
Right?
Yeah. Don't do it with like an iPad Pro. It's like, here's the 13-inch tablet that we're holding around. It's like, oh, come on. Yeah, so it's called Triple Agent. It's coming out quite soon. I was really intrigued by it. The art style for it in particular is very Secret Hitler, crossed with a little bit of Papers, Please. So it's nice and clean. And it does seem to have this little thumbprint thing. I think it's just thematic. I can't imagine they actually scan it. But it looks pretty cool. Being able to give out secret objectives in real time through a digital device seems like it has potential. I'm in on that. Yeah. Do love my social deduction. All right. Let's talk about things we've been playing this week. Erika, why don't you start us off with something?
So I've just been so busy. I haven't had time to game on my own. And like whenever I can grab a spare moment, I'm playing Horizon Zero Dawn, which is
that's because that's the best choice to make.
Oh my god, it's so gorgeous. I keep like just stopping and being like, this is such a gorgeous game. This is such a good game. I'm having so much fun. And it's really fun when you get games like that where you're actively aware of how much fun you're having.
Yeah.
It's so good. And it's so beautiful. And the acting is great. And just the world building is so rich that, I mean, I just running around and exploring the world is so thrilling to me. So I'm playing a lot of that. And then, because of my job, I get a chance to play short snippets of games that I really wish I could continue more of. I'm in the middle of A Night in the Woods, which is an incredible indie story-based game.
Dude, yeah, Jesse and I both loved that game.
That game hit me like, bop. It was, in that game, you're just like, oh, as your spirit leaves your body.
It's done very well so far. Great critical reception to it. And I think the interesting thing about it is that being a story-driven game, often a character has to resonate with you in some way. You have to be able to connect with them, relate to something that they're doing, some of their kind of troubles. And what surprised me, I think, is a lot of people have turned around and said, I didn't think I would relate to an aspect of this game. And as a result, it being as story-driven as it is, I probably wouldn't have felt particularly immersed by it. And yet so many people have said, you know what, there is something in here. Even though I'm not maybe that age or that gender or in this situation, I still found something that hit pretty deep, and that's what really drew me in.
I think
the game, sorry.
Yeah, go ahead. You first.
The game itself lends the fact that every character in it is either you or someone you know.
Yes.
I don't know what kind of, either the writing staff or the writing team is genius, or they are like some psychology majors who like pinpointed exactly the types of people that everyone are and put them all in this game. So like you will immediately relate to someone in here, and it will get you, and you're like, oh God, is that like, oh, and you're just like, all right, keep going with this story. It's crazy.
Yeah, I was gonna say the exact same thing, because even though like certain aspects of the main character I didn't identify with, there's other characters where I'm like, oh, I see some of myself in that. And I think there's just like universal truths in a lot of these characters' motivations that just everybody can see themselves in. It's so good, and I can't wait to finish it. And I think having all of them be animals also did that animation abstraction thing where everybody really identifies with them no matter what they look like.
Yeah,
that's an interesting thing that doesn't get brought up an awful lot when we talk about representation in games, and some people feel that they have to be represented in some way. Some people do not. But what's interesting is that a lot of people seem to really enjoy characters that are non-human, as almost as if they could ascribe personal attributes to them more easily because they're less visually distinct as being, this is very clearly not me. This is very clearly not somebody like me. It's interesting that technique would work, and I wonder if it's something that needs investigating further when we talk about the ability to immerse people into a character that they're specifically role-playing.
Right.
I think this game and Oxenfree and some of the games that have come out that have been this, and Life is Strange, that have this story with choices aspect to it, have taken the Telltale idea to the next level, which I feel bad for Telltale because it's leaving their games in the dust. Like the three games have been stellar, and it makes you see the glaring deficiencies in Telltale games.
I personally do not feel bad for them for that, but Dodger, go ahead.
I think Telltale's still incredible. The thing is that they are bound by the licensed properties that they have, and a lot of these other games are really free to work outside of the confines of licensed properties, working with companies. They can go for these smaller, more intimate stories that are a lot riskier to, and that's the thing, is if they're smaller companies, it's a lot less risky for them to have like a lesbian love story in their game, for instance. They can just go for it. And I've just been really loving a lot of these story-driven games, like even like Undertale, something like that wasn't as much there are certain aspects of choice in that, but it's
very
also
meta,
exciting and new.
Yes, that's what really got me. And that's not the kind of genre I usually enjoy, but that game ended up being my game of the year that year because it was so surprising and subverted expectations as much as it did. And its aspect of choice but not choice definitely was a very meta kind of thing. It was a bit of a commentary on video games, kind of like Stanley Parable was as well. Very much a commentary on player agency or the lack thereof and our tendency towards obedience. Dodgy had a comment on Night in the Woods and Telltale in particular.
Oh, I was just gonna say, like, that's my big hope with Life is Strange 2, because they've announced that Life is Strange 2 is going to be happening.
Yes.
And I'm really excited for it. And I'm also kind of hoping that they'll do what Telltale hasn't. And I do get that, Telltale is in this position where they have so many games that they're supposed to be making that it's hard for them to like update their system at this point. But they really need to, man. Like there are glaringly obvious things that they can do to just they can still do the same format. They just need to update.
Well, the engine has barely been updated since they started. Back all the way back with Walking Dead initially. Like, it's ancient and it's showing. And ultimately, they're a series of, they might as well be visual novels for all intents and purposes, with a few cuties here and there. They're very much based on, as you mentioned, the license is both the strength and the weakness. Sorry, you're lagging out just a little bit there.
No.
Erika. Oh no! Did we lose her?
Hopefully she'll be back shortly. But sort of to continue, the speech will probably come through in about 20 seconds, and that'll
right.
All right. Yeah, hopefully she'll be back shortly. Evidently her Wi-Fi's gone down or something. The thing with Telltale, I think, is presentation is more important in their games than others because the license, it might be a strength, but if you present the license poorly and it's visually not particularly well done, then that in itself is a black mark on the game more so than it would be for others. And that engine is ancient. So you've got a lot of these either QTEs, which are designed to be highly cinematic and look cool, or just a lot of cutscenes that have to look cool, and good luck doing that on an ancient engine with poor animation.
You know what really irritates me, though, is that, and I think we've talked about this before, but recently I've really... Erika's
Welcome back.
Hi.
I'm so sorry, my connection.
Not a problem. If that ever happens again, just rejoin the call. Everything's cool. Don't worry. We'll cover for you.
Yeah, I'm sorry. We were talking about story-driven.
Yeah, we're on Telltale in particular. George was making the point about just sort of poor presentation due to ancient technology, really.
Yeah, right. I was going to say also that I think we've talked about this before recently, but it's become very obvious to me that they're more recent games. The QTEs don't matter. You can hit the wrong button and you can still confirm
they've
the QTE.
definitely.
And I'm like, that's not how it's supposed to work.
Yeah, they've definitely pushed the
really
importance
bothers
back.
Me.
I think. Sorry, Erika, go ahead.
Yeah, I mean, to me, the reason that I play games is for story-based decisions. And if they can be complemented by the design and the gameplay, that's like tops for me. The Last of Us, the Last of Us Left Behind, where you're doing the storytelling and the gameplay design just really complemented it well. Like that's tops for me. But for me, I love the way Telltale's narratives play with your emotions and make you feel like you have this there's this illusion of choice, and it's crippling.
Yeah, and it is an illusion in many ways.
That's the thing. I feel like I would appreciate it way more if, in the moment where I had to make a big decision as Batman with Catwoman, I knew that if I hecked it up, there would be a consequence and I would see a hecking up scene happen afterwards. I want that scene, and it doesn't happen because I hit the wrong button, and then I'm like, oh, oops, that wasn't Q.
Well, Jesse can tell you of a series of games that he loves that do that really well, and that's David Cage's stuff. David Cage is a master of making games that have soft failure states. So Beyond Two Souls, great example. And I love this about him because game over is relevant in quite a few different games. Like some games just need a game over screen. But the cool thing about Beyond Two Souls in particular is that you can fail, but it won't stop the story. But it gives you a non-optimal result, which is still a failure state. You're still compelled to be good at it because you get a better result. But by failing, you're still advancing the story in some way. It's not a hard stop. And I love that aspect of it.
Yeah, I feel like for Beyond Two Souls, there was a lot less branching story than in Heavy Rain.
Yes, you're definitely right.
It was very linear, but it still had that feeling of the illusion of choice and the failure state haunting you at every decision. I agree.
Yeah, I still think Heavy Rain was a better game.
It also had the idea that how you played the ghost it affected that world as well. So it wasn't just like how you played the characters in that. It was in the ghost scenes. If you were a dick, it would change outcomes. Or if you were super nice as a ghost, it would change outcomes. Or if you were I'm gonna be her friend, really look after her, it would change. So the way he did that was genius. Not the best game in the world, but the stuff in it is
Oh, agreed.
I can't wait for Detroit. I'm so excited.
That is my most anticipated game this year, I think, just because, it seems like the narrative branches for this one are crazy. I don't know how they managed to do all of it because, just from a programming standpoint, having any branches along the way before the end are just is just a bonkers amount of coding.
Yeah, and we've seen BioWare do it, right? Where they start thin and then they expand in the middle and then bring it together at the end. And at a lot of people complained that Mass Effect 3 in particular, it's like, well, everything I did didn't really matter. But in the middle and towards the end, it does to some extent. You can't have necessarily your decisions be completely game-changing in every way. But the more that you feel like you've altered the universe, even if the outcome is just flavored differently, the better that's going to be. I'm very excited for Detroit for the same reason. it's strange for me in particular, with someone that's not a story-driven game, that's very mechanically driven and quite competitive, that I actually like David Cage's stuff, but it feels like what I'm doing has a genuine impact, and I feel like that's the biggest strength of video games. That's the biggest strength of that interactive element of video games. Marrying the storytelling with the mechanics and then giving me choice and consequence that was based on my own personal failure and my ability to play the game well.
Right.
The man is a golden god. I'm just saying it again. I want to reiterate. He went to a PlayStation press conference, walked out on stage and said, "Here's a head." And people cheered, and then he walked off the stage.
It's a damn cool looking head.
The
One
man,
hell of a head.
He's like, "Here's a head." And everyone's like,
yes,
it was a head. It was like a well-rendered head. And then he left. And people were like, "Woo!" The man is a god. He cannot do wrong.
Yeah, it's really exciting. You know, as somebody who came from film, I think that the most exciting stories are going to be told in video games in our lifetime. It's so exciting to have a medium being developed as we grow older, and like the stories that we tell through video games and the way we tell them, he's innovating in them. And there's so many other companies that are doing risky, exciting things and like expanding how we view gaming. And that's just so thrilling to me.
The key point that you made there is the way, as far as I'm concerned. Like, you can tell any story in video games, but can you tell it in a way that takes advantage of the things that this medium can do that no other medium can do? Which is why I think cutscene-heavy gaming in particular is sort of missing the point. And anyone says we should be more like film, it's like, no, we probably shouldn't. There are lessons to learn from film, but we should not try to ape film because it is a non-interactive medium. You can't just take the interactive bit out of games and then expect them to be as good as a piece of non-interactive media like film, television, or books.
Yeah. Right. I've been loving all of these FMV games that are coming out recently too, dude.
Like Her Story.
Yeah,
that was great. There's been a couple of others. Have you played one? Oh, aren't you playing one right now?
Jesse and I are playing one right now, and it's so fucking weird.
The
And
name
like,
of this thing
love,
is ridiculous.
like, I love seeing companies like try to say, okay, yeah, we want it to have this like cinematic feel, and we want it to be like, we want it to feel like you're playing a movie. Like, how do we do that? The one that we're playing right now is called The Infectious Madness of Dr. Dekker, and there are 2 episodes on your channel now, Jesse.
There'll be another one later today.
It's it's so weird.
Describe it to me. Try to describe it.
The basic gist is a doctor goes crazy and is either murdered or kills himself. We don't quite know.
Yeah, he's found dead in his office, and you play the therapist that takes over for him and like continues helping his patients. But as you talk to each of them, you realize like there was something super weird going on here. Like, all of his patients were mostly normal when they started going to him, and then got worse.
And his assistant basically says, like, the police believe one of these patients you're seeing killed the doctor. And so your job is to help them figure out which one it was. And your job is to like talk to these people because they're all messed up. And yeah, you learn that over time, every interaction they had with the doctor made them worse. And like,
worse in like weird ways, not in like I had depression and then I got super depressed. It's like I came in with depression and now I think I can stop time, like that kind of like weird extremes where you're like, I'm sorry, what?
or the guy who's like, yeah, the guy who's like, or the woman who is like, yeah, you know, my husband and I have been going through shit, but like it's weird because I stabbed him with a steak knife and he's dead, but I see him every day, like that kind of shit.
Yeah, she's like, no. Everybody will tell you he's dead, but he's not dead.
He's up at the cabin, and I go see him.
Yeah, he's up. I see him all the time. I brought him back to life.
And you're just like, hold on, what? You ask them questions, so you have to find the keywords to ask them.
And that's very like her story, right? Like the way that you found the footage through the archives is by identifying those keywords. Yeah.
Yes. Right. Yeah. And so it's that, except you're asking questions, and so you have to figure out which questions you've asked, which you haven't, and they'll open up to you. But there's a state in this because it is the infectious madness of Dr. Dekker. So there's triggers where it's like red next to a person's name means you haven't asked them enough. Orange is you've asked them just enough, and green is you've asked them too much. And we don't know what this means, but we think if you keep asking them too much, you eventually go crazy yourself.
Like you get infected with the madness.
Yeah.
That's
so we're like, don't let it go green.
Yeah.
It's very interesting to see there be genuine consequences.
Just came out last week.
Oh, no kidding. Oh, I gotta check this out. This sounds amazing.
Yeah, they made another game that Jesse and I played a while back called Contradiction, and we loved it. Like, really, really loved it. And yeah, this game kind of expands on the ideas that they started with Contradiction, and that's kind of what I'm hoping. Just to, like, bring it all back. That's really what I'm hoping will happen with Life is Strange 2. Is that they won't pull a Telltale and be like, well, it worked with the first one. That they'll look at Life is Strange. And when they're making Life is Totes Strange or Life is the Strangiest, Life is Hella Strange. When they're making Life is Hella Strange, that they'll say, like, how can we expand on this and make it even better? Like, I would really appreciate more people doing, like, really story heavy games to consider how to improve their formats.
Yeah, rather than just telling that story, figure out, what can I do in a video game context that lets me tell the story in a different way and lets the player feel involved, despite the fact that these are preset characters with preset lines that do preset things and have preset personalities? Life is Strange in particular, I actually wanted to bring up earlier when we were talking about Night in the Woods, because it almost had the opposite issue that Night in the Woods has, where you pretty much all said the characters in Night in the Woods, you can relate to some of them on some level regardless of who you are. I felt that Life is Strange was kind of the opposite of that, and initially it was criticized for its dialogue, and its dialogue sounding a bit cringy and a bit badly written, but in reality, that's kind of how a teenage girl in that place would speak.
Yeah, it's kind of hilarious, because I think every person with a son or daughter around that age was like, that's exactly how my kid speaks. I don't know what everybody's problem is, which made me laugh.
Yeah,
I love it because it was Dodger. I was like, oh, I'm hanging out with little Dodger. And we played out.
It is in Oregon. I felt connected. I felt connected to that game.
God, that I want to like protect all those kids. I was like, they're my baby.
I know. Well, that's the thing, is it starts out kind of like their shorthand archetypes. It seems as like that is what's happening. But in the end, you kind of tease out each of the characters and you see like little glimpses into their emails or things that they tell you. And if you say the right things, they'll respond and you go, oh, you are a well-rounded person. And I really appreciate that because, you know, like it's easy to be lazy when writing kids.
I will never let the internet forget this to the day I die. The comments, go back, look at the comments of the videos as Dukes and I are playing, and the dad, the entire time I was like, something's not right here. Like this dude, everyone's shitting on this guy. Yeah. And I feel like this is like, something's not right here.
Red herring.
And all the comments are just like, Jess, you're so fucking dumb. Like, oh my God. And everyone's yelling at me. By the end, I was like, what'd I fucking tell you, internet? I was so pleased with myself that like I just stuck with it and didn't give into pressure because everyone's like, no, you're a terrible person, Jesse, for liking the dad.
That is what's hard about playing those types of games online, is that I think that you get a much more, I don't know, like pure experience out of a game like that when you're able to just go with your gut and not have a million voices being like, but I think that you made the wrong choice, or I think that you should really do this.
Yeah,
it makes it really difficult to like immerse yourself in those types of games sometimes.
To be honest with you, I always grew up playing games with people. Just like my friends and I would all get together at somebody's house and sit on the floor and play a game together. And there would always be voices chiming in saying like, no, we got to do this. No, we got to do that.
Right.
And so to me, it feels really authentic to have the train being driven by a whole chat room.
Yeah.
And you know, if I get in there early enough, you know, there's that 15-second delay. So if there's a decision I really want to make, I'll just make it.
Yes.
But sometimes it is fun to have feedback from people and to crowdsource that.
Yeah.
And then it also kind of galvanizes me to make decisions sometimes.
Yeah. We saw a lot of this phenomenon around the release of Until Dawn, which is a very popular both streamer and YouTube game. And it went beyond the pale on that one because some people got genuinely upset when people allowed other characters to die or whatever. And I've made this argument time and again. It's like, why would you watch someone's playthrough to do the same things that you did? Like, the best thing about being able to watch other people's playthroughs is then make different choices, see different consequences, experience other aspects and facets of the game through the lens of what this person did, not through the lens of what you did. Like, using it as a self-affirmation experience is, to me, not particularly healthy. And the sheer bile that was coming from a lot of people regarding that was disturbing. I still go back to the time when I was doing a video on Portal 2. The game told me to pick up Wheatley, and I refused to do it. And I stood there for 5 minutes. People got genuinely upset at me for that. They were furious at me because, like, no, the game told you to do that. You've got to do it. Like, no, but by not doing that, I just let you experience a bunch of dialogue that you didn't even know existed in the game.
Right.
Just by being contrarian and not doing that. And by watching me play that, you have now experienced a different aspect and facet of the game that you would have never seen before. And that's cool.
All of this, I believe, in my heart of hearts, is leading to holodecks where you can play a story. Dude, I want to be like Jean-Luc Picard in that detective story where, like, oh, man, like, that would be the shit. And I love that that is definitely where these storytelling things are taking us, where it's like you're typing and you're interacting with people and it's in this game and you're making choices and the choices have consequences. And it isn't just like, I am the god of war and I cut your throat. Like, it's more than that. It's like, I'm having a conversation with this person and what this is going to do is like affect something down the line. I love that stuff. I think that is amazing, and hope we get to a point where games become, look, I just need to live that long that games become that cool. That's all I want. Then you can throw me in a box, but I feel like I want that to happen. Like, I know
definitely happen sooner rather than later. And there's a place for, it'll definitely happen sooner rather than later. And there's a place for both. You know, there really is a place for both in that respect. And I hope that neither of those genres go the way of the dodo, because everybody has their own particular preferences when it comes to that. They're all equally valid. I just hope that one doesn't get treated as a less of a valid form of gaming than the other. There's too much gatekeeping in that regard. It's nice to see new experiences and new genres pop out of this medium.
Yeah.
Oh, I'd still want to be in a holodeck and like kill people, but like,
well, yeah.
I also want to be a badass detective in a holodeck too. Like, I want, man, technology, science, get it.
We're almost there.
Here.
I mean, that's VR's already got us the holodeck killing experience. Now it's going to get us the holodeck mystery experience. That's genuinely surprising.
I'd like to have the holodeck walking around like in real time experience. Yeah. That's what I want. I understand that there are limitations. We got to keep teleporting, but like, I can't wait to be able to like walk around in VR so we can get those whole storytelling experiences.
Yeah.
What? There's a game just came out. I think it's a horror game that is that, where it's not like a scary horror game where it's like jump scares and shit, but it's a VR like murder mystery sim kind of deal.
Oh.
I love that stuff. I'd be into that, where it's like it's spooky because there's a killer on the loose. And it's like, all right, okay.
Into it. Oh God, I played a chair in a room greenwater on VR. It is like broken the VR experience for me, because now I'm always jumpy. Like, I never know if the kid from The Ring is going to be crawling down the corridor.
Oh God,
nope.
Not having it. If you are a fan of horror games and atmospheric horror, and then you should play it. But if not, don't, because oh my God, it's so scary.
Not happening. No way. Terrifying. Not happening. What else has people been playing this week? Who wants to throw a hat in the ring?
Do you want to talk about Dead Cells since you brought it up?
Yeah, we can bring that up. Yes. You've been hyping this game for the last few weeks.
Oh,
I decided to try it.
Fun.
I was really impressed.
Yeah, you dig it?
All right, Dodger, go for it. Give Erika the elevator pitch on this one.
Oh, yeah. Okay. Elevator pitch for Dead Cells. So in Dead Cells is like sort of Castlevania-esque, but without quite as much exploration. So you go from zone to zone, just beating baddies, getting new weapons, better like ranged or defense or like items that you can use. And it's just like a really, I don't know, it's just like a really solid beat 'em up. Like, you start here, you end here, new zone, you start here, you end here. It's got the whole like aspect of some weapons are really fast, some weapons are really slow. And so as you get to understand like all of the different baddies that you run into, you'll understand like the timing for them and how you can effectively beat them. And it has like a progression system overall, so you can make it so that certain weapons that you really like are just better overall. So if you find that weapon, you know it's going to be just generally stronger. So yeah, it's like kind of hard to explain, but it's very fun.
Yeah,
it sounds like nice and simple, like a simple fun experience.
It's very straightforward
to start
and
with.
it's also super weird in terms of you don't really know what you are. The
world is strange.
You don't know what the world is. Like,
your head's like a mold, like sentient mold that crawled onto your body and brought you back to life. It's bizarre. So there is that
and it's
mystery
confirmed
aspect.
to you, like right at the beginning of the game, the very first like person or thing that you talk to is like, oh, cool, you're back to life again. Like you've been doing this forever. So it's like I'm really curious to see if they tell you anything about that. But even if they don't, I think I would kind of be cool with it. Just having it be like, I don't know what I am. I don't know what anything is. I don't even know why I'm doing this.
Mystery world. Yeah, this is the sort of game that I generally wouldn't really enjoy because side-scroller, Metroidvania-esque thing is not the sort of thing I'm usually into. But this one in particular, it does what it does really, really well, and the sort of roguelite elements that are on top of it, i.e., part of the level's randomly generated, so you never see the same thing twice. Random loot drops. When you die, what you did previous to that gives you some form of progress overall. So you're constantly getting new stuff. You're constantly getting just a little bit better. The base game without all of those things would be good. But with them, it's really, really good. Huge amount of replayability. Feels really tight. Controls really, really well. Feels like I'm learning genuine skills and I'm exploring a different run every time. And because of the sheer amount of variety of new things that I'm finding, a new weapon, a new blueprint, even if I find a weapon in the world, the chances are it's different to the last version of that weapon I found because it's got little random stats on it. Like one might set an enemy on fire every third hit. One might spawn a bunch of weird little orange, purple creepy things with bows on their heads that eat enemies, I assume. I don't know what they are. But it's being able to get all of this crazy new stuff every time and that amount of variety, making sure that no run feels exactly the same is great. And it's well paced too. You feel like you get items that really make you feel more powerful pretty much off the bat. Instead of these tiny little marginal upgrades that you don't really care about, the pickups that you get, the new stuff makes you feel genuinely good and gives you this suite of abilities immediately that actually works. You feel effectual and strong, but so do the enemies as well. So you get that sense of challenge every time, but also that power fantasy in the process.
I guess they're going to nerf bleed. I'm really sad about that.
Probably.
Stacking bleed items is like my favorite OP move in that game, is just be like, all right, so I've got my blood sword, I've got my blood kunai, and I've got my blood shield, and I've got my, like, it's just...
Toss all these things, just watch the monster just fall over and bleed to death, Game's currently in early access, so about half of the game is done. There's still a lot of content, but they're readily developing it. This one, I think people are going to watch this one like a hawk. I remember when Darkest Dungeon was in early access, and the community was very fickle about if they changed any aspect of the game, the community would revolt in a big way. There was the heart attack issue that a lot of people didn't like that. Yeah, and corpses as well.
Everybody was like, what?
Yeah. And their solution eventually was just like, oh, okay, we'll just let you turn them off if you don't want them then, which I think is ideal. You know, if you don't want them, don't want them. That's great.
Yeah.
But this one in particular, they already have a very large player base. The game shifted over 100,000 copies already, which is unbelievable. Bearing in mind it came out with no fanfare at all. It's extremely popular. If they mess up, I hope they don't.
It sounds like really satisfying, and it's so difficult as a Metroidvania-ish game to distinguish yourself from the pack these days.
There's a lot of them. Yep. Not to mention being a roguelite as well. So we get almost, it seems like every week we get two more games that like, well, it's this, but it's got roguelitey things, which is like, that means you die and then you have to go back to the start. There's some randomly generated stuff, and there's some overall meta progression aspect to it. Like every time you play, you unlock something for the next time. Those are the kind of the three defining aspects of it. And a lot of these games, I think, use that as a crutch. They don't use it to enhance the experience. They use it to replace good basic gameplay. And don't think that works to hide it. It doesn't. You can immediately tell.
Yep.
But this is great. I'm really surprised that I like it as much as I do. I didn't expect to.
I'm glad that you wound up liking it. Because it seemed like from us talking before, it seemed like the thing that you really don't get a whole lot of joy out of is I don't know where I'm going. I don't know where I'm supposed to be. I don't know like how to
Navigation's
progress.
great. Yeah, I love the fact there's teleporters all over the place, so backtracking really isn't required if I even have to.
Teleporters are so nice.
Yep, really convenient. Runs are well paced. You're getting those upgrades regularly. Issue I had with the Gungeon in particular was I liked that game a lot, but
into the Gungeon.
It had there were 10-minute plus periods of you not getting a meaningful upgrade, and it felt like I was spinning my wheels. Whereas with this game, I'm always feeling like I'm getting something new and something cool, even if it's not a new weapon, a new item. It's like, here's a skill up that gives you more health or more attack power or all this kind of thing. Or I've collected some currency I'm going to be able to spend later on something new. So this game, all my complaints about any roguelite game, this game is kind of addressed. And I love that.
Have you experienced a curse yet in that game?
I have not. Well, I have that to look forward to, I guess.
Yeah, well, there are... So one thing that's confirmed in this game, there are definitely deities that you have to worry about.
Okay.
So it could be at any level. It could be literally right when you start the game. You can stumble across a chest that's basically like a chest that has like a crazy face on it. It's like, come on, put your hand in me. Put your hand in me. And
it's
you're
a
like,
mimic. It's a goddamn mimic.
And
Everything's no.
And if you like put your arm in and let it like bite down on your arm, it gives you lots of gold and items, but you have to defeat a certain number of enemies without getting hit.
Okay.
And so they call it the curse. And there'll be like a number above your head to tell you like how many enemies you still have left to kill. That's the same with gold doors, the like gold doors that you can like spend money to get through.
Yes.
If you just keep hitting the door, it'll eventually just break down. But then again, you'll be cursed and it'll be like the gods are very angry with you.
I like the fact that a lot of Dead Cells doesn't hide a huge amount of info from you. A lot of these roguelike games take great pleasure in just not telling you things. And I don't think that is beneficial. I don't like it. I've never really liked it. It almost seems like it's become a staple of this set of games for no real reason. Probably because all the way back when the original roguelikes were around in the 80s, they had the idea of scroll of identify. And you didn't know what something did until you used it or identified it. So they kind of kept that, but they went too far. It's like, every item, you don't know what this is. You want to buy something? Oh, it's a thing. It's a nugget. It's a turducken, something.
It's funny. Back in the day, they used to just withhold information from you, period. You had to call a helpline in order to...
That was a money-making method, yeah. Sell the strategy guide. Stupid Final Fantasy X nonsense. I don't think it's necessary. In a full-on roguelike, maybe. In a roguelite, sure, hide some stuff, put some secrets in there, have people discover mechanics, but don't hide everything for no reason. Don't make it frustrating. Don't obfuscate for the sake of obfuscation. Do it for a good reason so that when somebody does discover what something is through their own volition, or because they decided to look at a wiki, up to them, they feel genuinely rewarded for doing that. They feel a sense of accomplishment. It's great. It's a good game. I'm going to keep playing it, definitely.
Liking it.
Yeah, it's awesome.
What are you playing, Jesse?
We got a few minutes for the break. You got anything quick?
Yeah, so this is real quick because there's not much to spoil. I just started it. I got a early copy. I've been hyping this game up for a while of Children of Zodiarcs, which is the new Square Enix.
You want to try it again?
Yes, the new Square Penis game.
All right, we're just one there. All right, okay.
Part of their like indie platform that they're doing, and I played it at PAX East. And essentially, it's a game that is very much like Final Fantasy Tactics, except the battle is done with cards. And you build decks, but also each card, it's like next level. Each card, damage is like modified by dice. And so when you put down a card, you then roll dice that are like help that card and if you get certain things, you get added benefits to that, and so
Okay.
it helps you as well. So it's like a 3-layer tactic game, and it also has a pretty great story. So it's super entertaining, and I just started it, but it already has the same tactics vibe of like all the really classic tactical games. We're like, all right. So I got like
I'm
move my
always
guy
into
behind
those.
this dude, and like then I got to do this, and like then I got to roll these dice. And what it lets you do is it lets you not only build the decks out, but then you can craft and modify dice to help you do better with the decks you make. And so like it's sort of this feedback where I imagine eventually you'll have crafted like a killer deck with like amazing dice where you always crit everyone. So like I'm hoping that's where I'll end up, and I'll probably next week know a little bit more, but it's super cool so far.
Like the look of that. Yeah, I'd play this. I've still got the new, well, I say the new, it's the old Fire Emblem Echoes that just came out on 3DS, is still sitting in the shrink wrap at the moment. I'm intrigued to play that.
I'm terrible at strategy games. Like I want so badly to be a good tactician, but it's never gonna happen. It's never gonna happen. So I tend not to play. Like I played Final Fantasy Tactics back in the day, and I just kind of stumbled my way through because I love Final Fantasy, but it doesn't give me the same joy that story-driven games do.
Yeah.
This one's cool in that the cards before you place them down show you where they'll work. So like one of the characters, she's an assassin, but she also has a ranged attack, and it literally shows you like where it will work. So you can always go back several, like if you move her, you can move back. Like there is no like, well, you moved her, so you're stuck there.
Undo is
Until
lovely,
you
yeah.
use your attack, you can move around and like find the optimal place to put her. And so it like makes it so much easier because you won't fuck up just being stupid. Like, why do you know? Like,
That's for me.
Yeah. Super user friendly. Like I was playing through it and it's like, God, I gotta. Oh, I see. Okay, thank you, game. So it's and of course it's very good on keeping with tropes, but doing it in really fun ways. So like, of course, there's the big guy with like the club who's like, hey, I don't know what's going on here. And there's the little girl who found the massive gauntlet of power that makes her like a badass.
Right.
Like the assassin chick, and then like the nerdy guy who's like, I'm the inventor. But like everything, then they like do the little twist with it, which is really fun. So there's always like,
Cool.
like, oh, you're
It
a
looks
trope.
cool.
Oh, no, you're not. Yeah.
No,
it's
you're not.
yeah.
That
So
was
I'm
good.
all about tactics games
Yeah.
like that.
I'll hold on to that till it comes closer to release. But yeah, I do love my tactics. Eventually, I'll actually play that Fire Emblem, but Persona is still eating up all my time, so that's not going to happen until I'm done with that, at least.
Which Fire Emblem?
The new one, Echoes, which is the remake of Gaiden, I believe.
Can I just say I like the old format more? I'm gonna put it out there. I like when it like the new Fire Emblem games, they keep adding things to them to make it like there's a lot of stuff to do in here and there's a lot of stuff to keep track of. Echoes, I think, takes you back to when it was pretty simplistic. And I like that about it. I love that.
But it's a bit more of it's got this dungeon crawling aspect I heard about.
Never mind.
Okay. Sure.
Go on.
I was about to say something about Gerard and them, and I wasn't sure if I shouldn't. I don't know. They're working on it. Look, okay.
They just released a
Did they release it?
Fire Emblem video. Yeah.
Okay, cool. They did their Fire Emblem video. Leading.
I don't know.
I didn't know if like they let people know what game they're working on before the video comes out. I didn't want to like be that guy. Anyways, they put out their Fire Emblem video. Sure, awesome. For like the week leading up to that Fire Emblem video, it was just an office filled with people being like, "Why the fuck do people like Fire Emblem games? This is so hard."
Oh, no.
Fuck.
They played it on the permadeath mode. I mean, I love the fact that characters permanently die in that game. That's great. But you don't have to play it on that mode. And I know a lot of people don't.
Well, when your
But
name is
I
the
do.
completionist and you have to, which is crazy. So GG, bro. I hope you get
Saves coming like a
Yeah,
boss.
man.
Like crazy.
Yeah.
This is not something I could ever do.
I just hope that this game, and I don't know what the story's like, is less focused on the whole waifu aspect. And honestly, you know,
Oh, it super is. This
Oh,
is before
no.
it got. This game is
Oh,
from
no.
an era.
oh, is that good? Wait, good or not? Like, too much waifu, too little waifu.
No, it's
Can there really be
from an era
too
before it
Yes,
was like
but 100% yes. Yes.
It's more like Overwatch, than anything else, where it's like the waifu-ness comes from the fact that people are just obsessed,
okay.
rather than
They don't
it
shove
being
in your face.
actually in the
Yeah.
game.
Good.
And that's what early Fire Emblem was like. People were like obsessed with characters in it, but they didn't actively be like, now stroke this character and she'll love you.
Oh,
like,
God,
no,
yeah.
that doesn't
Wake
happen
them
till
up,
later.
blow in their face. Oh, God, no.
Yeah.
Good. That's good. That sort of torpedoed fates for me, so I'll hopefully enjoy this one a bit more.
Mhm.
As the cackles go on in the background. Let's take a break. When we come back, more about the games that we've been playing this week. You're watching the Co-optional Podcast. Do not go anywhere. We'll be right back. Ladies and gentlemen, my name is TotalBiscuit. StarCraft 2 can be pretty rough sometimes. It's skillful and demanding. It stretches even professional players to their absolute limits. Bearing that in mind, the last thing you need is somebody yelling in your ear and reminding you of all your mistakes.
Your SCVs can't mine when they're dead.
That's why I created the TotalBiscuit Announcer Pack for StarCraft 2. Enjoy positive reinforcement,
Your supply blocked. Might as well GG now.
sincere compliments,
What you lack in minerals, you make up for in charm.
and calm, relaxing notifications.
Your base is under attack. We're all gonna die.
Are you a Zerg player? Let me tell you how beautiful you are.
Metamorphosis is a beautiful thing. Oh God, it's monstrous.
All this and much, much more from the man who brought you the best play-by-play event in history.
Building a supply depot right here. This could be the tactical crucial move of this entire game. It's on about 20%, 25%, and here we go.
The TotalBiscuit Announcer Pack. Available to buy now in-game on the collection page.
Resume the real-time strategy-ing.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Co-optional Podcast. Enjoying the official soundtrack of Persona 4. Listening to way too much Persona music lately, honestly. I will say this, though. I don't know if I'm entirely sold on the Persona 5 soundtrack versus 4. I know everyone's got their favorite, but I'm leaning towards 4 being a little better.
But
I
like,
love just the like jazzy feel of 5.
the
Yeah.
jazz feel 5 though.
It's funny.
cool.
I'm not playing Persona, but you know, I have roommates who are, and so I just hear it constantly.
Yeah.
And so I've got that. Yeah, exactly.
All day.
Tell you, best Persona soundtrack may very well be Persona Q on the 3DS, which was the crossover with Atreyan Odyssey. Because what they did was they took Persona music from 3 and 4, they mashed it together and did a collab with it, and that was really cool. Very much worth looking up the soundtrack to that game. The gameplay, not so much, because it's one of those first-person sort of dungeon crawlers, but with Persona bits in it. You know, not a true Persona game, but
Right.
music. Delicious.
Dude, I'm literally the other night I sat down and I was like, I'm gonna beat 5. I'm gonna just beat it because
Okay.
I'm in the last area. I'm gonna just sit down and I'm gonna beat it. Got halfway through the boss battle, like the final boss battle. It's very obviously the final boss battle, right? And started falling asleep. And I was like, if I know Persona games, I know that the second this boss battle is over, I'm gonna have an hour and a half of cutscenes.
Mhm.
Yeah.
So I have to go to bed. Like I won't stay awake. I can't stay awake for this. So my PS4 is currently in like rest
Spend
mode
mode. Yeah.
halfway through that boss battle. And when I come back, I'm gonna be like, okay, what was this guy all about?
Yeah.
Shit.
I've been using Suspend constantly for Persona 5 just with remote play, and it works perfectly. Long as I remember not to load another game, it will just jump right back in where I was, so...
Nice.
Yeah, I was actually surprised because Sam and I finally have our projector working. And so the projector is literally only hooked up to the PS4. And I didn't realize that you can play games and then have them like in their, off to the side state and be able to, as long as it's not another game,
Yes.
you can open any other application you want. Like we were able to watch Crunchyroll and everything, and Persona 5 is still like running in the background. I was like,
Yep.
Huh. I thought you couldn't
It's-
run 2 things at a time, but I guess it's just games.
The technology, wow.
I know,
I
know.
because I remember when we had to like make sure that there was enough save space on a cartridge, and like if your memory card was full, you're like, I guess that's it. I guess I just have to replay this entire level over again.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Ugh.
Yeah, it's nice, especially for a game like
God.
Persona where you can only save in certain places. That suspension is great.
Mhm.
Using it constantly, it's never failed. Speaking of something that will hopefully not fail, I would like to talk a little bit about our appearance at Momocon. Myself, Jesse, and Dodger are all going to be there. we have a little schedule of different panels we're going to be working on for you. We can, if you want.
Momocon.
A shoulder
Yes.
jig?
Sure, feel free. I'll let you guys. You're the experts on that. So
The Critical Role. A lot of the Critical Role folks will be there as well.
indeed, yeah.
We're gonna pick a fight with them. We already said we're doing it.
Is it to be a dance fight or just like a regular, like a
Fish fight.
I mean, they're voice actors, so like, you know, they don't need to be pretty. They are, but like, you know, like rough them up a little, guys.
I think we've just given permission to punch them in the face.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
We don't need to protect their 8x10. They don't need it.
Yeah.
It's true. Like their voices are, you know, how they makes the money.
Right.
Punch them here, not here. We get
Here,
it.
not here. Do not touch the vocal cords, though, guys.
Here,
No.
not here. Got it.
Yeah.
So here's our schedule for Momocon. It's on the screen right now. Friday and Saturdays when we're doing panels, 1 p.m. to 2 p.m. talking with TotalBiscuit in the Sydney Marcus Theatre. 5:30 to 6:30, Co-optional Podcast will be going on in main panels A 411 to 412, which is, I think, the big panel room. After that, about half an hour after that, we're going to do autograph signing session for an hour. Feel free to come down to that. No, we're not charging for it. So come along, get a photo, get an autograph if you so desire. Just don't bring 10 things to sign. And
anything?
within reason. Within reason. Okay, he will. I'm not guaranteeing it. Saturday, May the 28th, 2:30 to 3:30, the Co-optional Lounge on the main stage. We're going to be playing Super Fight and Snake Oil. The guests will be myself, Dodger Jesse. We're going to be joined by Super Bunny Hop, Atlanta native, as well as Mathis. So that should be entertaining, I hope. Streams, they're going to happen. There's like 6 Momocon streams. We don't know which one it's in, but there is a Twitch team, twitch.tv/team/Momocon. So if you're trying to find it, we'll tweet it out, of course, but if you're confused as to where to look, if you're not going to be there, then you can head on over there. I think everything we're doing is streamed. And, of course, if you want to attend in person, it's the Andrew Young International Boulevard, Georgia World Congress Center. Big convention center over there. There are tickets still available. Momocon.com/Momocon-2017-registration. Gaming, anime, comics, and all that good stuff. Come on down.
I'm excited to walk the floor with Dukes and look at anime.
Do all the anime stuff.
Well, the animes. What animes are you into right now? What merch are you looking for?
Oh man, you know I need a few body pillows.
Yeah, Jesse. What animes are you into right now?
Do you have any? Who has body pillows? Does anybody have a body pillow? Who do you have?
Who do you have?
I have Grimjaw from Bleach because you gotta. And I also have a Hatoful Boyfriend limited edition.
Wait, shut up.
Yeah.
No.
The top side is Anime Boy. Backside, Bird Boy.
No. Who is
Yes.
it? Who did you get? Oh my god.
It's the best friend who works at the cafe. So it's like him as an anime boy in like a maid outfit, and then the opposite side is him as a bird in a maid outfit. It's adorable.
That's so cute. How did you get that?
It was part of a Humble Bundle like extra. When
they
did
the leggings for those too. They did the body pillow cover. I got that shit. Hell yeah. Man. What are you shaking your head about?
Anime was a mistake.
Remember when anime was a mistake. It's true. Remember when body pillows are about like boobs and stuff, not birds. I remember.
No, I don't remember that.
Equality, man.
We all remember.
One for all people.
It's all about inclusivity, man.
Yeah.
Flavor for everybody.
Remember when mouse pads didn't have boobs on them? And now they do. And it's
Those
cool
were
that
dark
both
times.
exist.
Yeah.
The only body pillow I want to own is the body pillow of me. Someone sent me a body pillow of me.
Don't.
There are
someone
people,
actually
no,
will.
Jesse, for real. There are people that I watch on Twitch who just do designs for body pillows.
Really?
So you could hit one of those people up and be like, I need you to draw me, but like sexy on one side and then like sleepy on the other.
So I think it was like 6,000 subs way back in the day, 2 years ago, for Geek and Sundry. It was like 6K and a body pillow, and they made a body pillow of our showrunner. And on one side is his like D&D character of him in like this like as this sexy tiefling, I think, like demon tiefling. And then the other side is him like as like an angry little sassy anime boy. And it's so great because they made him bring it to TwitchCon to like have it guest with him up on the main stage. It's so that interview is priceless.
And then he quit.
Oh yeah, and then now he's gone. But we it was good while it lasted. But yeah, body pillows are just such a funny such a funny thing. I would like a body pillow, but I don't know of what yet. Yeah,
I hear that I'm gonna have body pillows out soon. So like, if you want one, I'll send it to everyone at Geek and Sundry.
Oh my god, please send me a body pillow.
Make sure Felicia
No, I'm
gets
serious.
And
please send me a body pillow. Send me a body pillow.
Now I feel like I'm obligated to make this happen, and I'm not okay.
You promised me.
My joke is too far.
Promised me a body pillow.
You know what? This is too far. You know what? It was a joke, y'all. It's not gonna happen.
Do not joke with me, Jesse Cox. Do not joke with me.
It's on film. It's on the internet. You can't escape it now.
Yeah, real. You made a promise on the internet. Body pillow.
So be it. So be it.
I like the chat is just filled with people going, poor TB. Poor sweet TB trapped here with these people.
we're anime trash.
Oh, I already knew that for at least one of you. Now I just have confirmation that there are more than I thought.
Yeah, I mean, I actually don't watch a ton of like anime these days, but like it's still in my heart, Once anime trash, always anime trash.
I feel like most people who do love anime will go through like ebbs and flows, right? Like they'll have a period of time where they're like, God, I just really want to watch some fucking anime. And they'll go ham on anime for a while and then, and then cool off on it for a little bit and then be like, oh yeah, anime. I love anime. So.
Yeah. I mean, I think my top is still Cowboy Bebop for sure. And that's just one of my favorite
respectable.
Thank you.
pieces of media in the world ever. Yeah. No.
TB, that's
you
okay.
said it's okay.
Yeah, I can approve of that.
Okay. All right. Good. Yeah.
All right. Back to video games, shall we?
I played that little Old Man's Journey game.
Oh, yes.
Oh, I haven't played it yet. Is it good?
Yeah, is it good?
It's cute. Yeah, it's very short. It's actually, I didn't realize this. It's a like landscape sort of, I'm trying to think of how to even describe it. So you're like a little old man, and at the beginning of the game, you receive a letter. And you receive like this little letter, and you live by the beach, and you go into your little house, and you put on a backpack, and then you just start walking. So you are essentially you're not really controlling the guy all that much. More so, you're controlling the world to allow the guy to progress.
Okay.
So there are different, you see like, the foreground and the background and whatever in betweens, and you can move those things around in order to create a situation where he can go from point A to point B. And sometimes it gets like a little bit more complicated. For the most part, the game is really simple. It's much more about the story of like this old man and why he's going on this journey and him reflecting on his past and stuff. So yeah, I thought that it was like a really sweet, simple game. And I saw that it's on mobile. I think that it would be perfect for mobile.
Yes.
Because you're just like, all right, I want this part to go up and I want this part to go down.
Good touch screen. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Something I could pick up on there. Cool. How long do you think the game is?
I'm trying to remember how long it took me. I want to say it was like an hour and a half or 2 hours.
Yeah, that seems short. Seems about right. Yeah, but on mobile it's only a couple of dollars, I think. So
yeah,
that probably is the place to play it.
Yeah,
cool.
It's pretty cute. So I played that one, and I finally, because now it's in early access, I finally started playing Oxygen Not Included.
Yes. What do you think about that?
Oh, another clay game.
Yep.
Oh my God.
Yeah, I just recently tried out Don't Starve Together.
Oh, Don't Starve Together is super fun.
Yeah.
So for anybody who doesn't know what Oxygen Not Included is, it's a colony builder, but it's essentially like a gas manager. So I think in the storyline, you land on an asteroid and you have to sort of, you start in like this small bubble surrounded by just like dirt and other materials, and you have to just expand, right? You have to find food, you have to find water, you have to find all these things in order to keep your colony alive. But I say that it's a gas manager, and the reason that it's called Oxygen Not Included is because you start off in an area with oxygen, but these what I think the game calls them duplicants. As they breathe, they're breathing in oxygen, but they're not breathing out oxygen, right? So you have to like figure out how to keep oxygen in the area. As you expand, you're going to run into different types of gases. So there's certain like pockets that you're going to hit that are just vacuums that don't have anything in them. But sometimes you'll hit a pocket that just has carbon dioxide or just has chlorine. And like there are all of these different gases that start intermingling. And as your colony grows, there's going to be helium and hydrogen and like all of these different gases, methane, like everything mixing in with the air. And you have to figure out the most efficient way to be filtering out the gases that they can't breathe and figure out where to put them. It's, oh my God, it gets so complex. And at the same time, I feel like I'm learning so much. I was like, wait, is all of the carbon dioxide at the bottom of the screen because it's denser? And my chat was
exactly
like, yes. And I was like, I'm learning science right now.
Yeah,
But,
that was when I talked to them at PAX, that was one of the things that they emphasized, that the whole game is built on living systems that make logical sense within the realms of science. So if you have an understanding of how that works, you will do better. And if you don't, you're gonna bloody learn, because you're gonna lose otherwise.
Right.
Oh man, I love like games that have incidental learning in them.
Yeah, me too. I was like, this is really, really difficult, but I'm delighted at the fact that I feel like I'm learning a lot about like different gases. Like it's so interesting. And there were some, no, it's totally fine. There were some things where I was going, okay, well, I don't know why I would need this. Like, I don't know what this is for. There are some, valves that are like, oh, you put this valve on to make sure that pressure is normalized. And I was like, I don't know why I need to normalize pressure. Or like, there are switches. And I'm like, I don't know why I would need a switch. And then, people were saying like, oh, you really need to be careful as natural gas is filtering into the air because that's explosive. And I was like, oh my God, there's so many things to think about, so.
Well, it's a what could go wrong simulator, You're not supposed to survive. You're gonna die. And hopefully in a hilarious way possible. And the whole point of it being that those replicants or duplicates or whatever kind of have minds of their own, and they're not very nice people, generally speaking. They can get greedy, they can get gluttonous, they can get lazy, they can just get resentful of people, and they start to do things that you don't want them to do, and you have to manage that.
Yeah, they have traits a la like Darkest Dungeon. They have positive traits and they have negative traits. They have things that they're good at and things that they're really bad at. It took me a while to figure out how to assign jobs. I was like, in every colony builder, you can assign jobs. You can say like, don't fucking do this, you're bad at it.
Yeah.
Do this other stuff, So once I finally figured out how to do that, it made it a lot easier because they'll depending on their personality type and the traits that they have, like if you wind up with a bad group of people, you might wind up having nobody that ever wants to pick up anything. And you're just like, where are all of my materials? No. Oh, they're just sitting there. Nobody's picked them up, So like assigning jobs becomes really important. And there's always going to be things that you don't think of.
And that'll probably be the thing that kills you as well. It's like, damn it.
Up until this point, nobody's died yet for me. So I'm like,
wow.
Soon.
But it's a constant. I don't think this isn't the sort of colony builder where you can ever be self-sufficient ever. Because again, they're always going to be using air. And they're always going to be using the oxygen, and whatever way that you decide to create new oxygen, that's a finite resource of some kind. Like there's just no way that you can reach a point where you're like, all right, I'm good. And I think that like creates like a little bit of stress. Like you're always going to be chasing that next problem that shows up, but it is very fun.
Yeah, I'm intrigued to see how it compares to RimWorld. I assume no one in here has played RimWorld.
I watched a lot of it being played. That's the one where you have to get your colonists to build the ship back home, right?
I believe so. Yeah.
Yeah, I watched a lot of that, and it's just fascinating too, because a lot of the patterns were pulled from data that they had scraped from, like dating sites and from
interesting.
simulators.
It's all based on a set of logic. Yeah.
Yeah, and so that was fascinating to me, because talk about incidental learning. They just like pull stats in order to make game design, and that was fascinating. Yeah, that looked really. I am again bad at strategy and resource management. Like, it has to be in the form of cute animals for me to really go for it. But yeah, that looked like a really good game.
Need a hardcore Viva Pinata for you, by the sounds of it.
Yeah.
God, I love that game. We need that back. It was great. So good. Just get rid of that stupid little maze game with the eating of the sweets for the breeding. Get rid of that, and everything else is great. It was an awesome game. Love that damn thing.
And also Animal Crossing for the Switch. Animal Crossing for the Switch.
That'll be a system sell. I'm assuming they ever stock the damn things again. I'll be interested to see sort of which one wins out, because I think these games are directly competing. Clay's art style, I think, is going to walk all over RimWorld, but RimWorld is definitely further along. And I'm interested to see which sort of wins out. I mean, I've loved everything Clay's done, even the stuff that I'm not a fan of personally. I can appreciate.
That's my thing too. I think that all of Clay's games have overall been just very clean and very good games. So this is the sort of early access situation where I'm like, I have complete confidence you are going to finish this game. I also have confidence that you're gonna make the best game that you know how to make, and it's already pretty good. So yeah, I'm happy with it so far. It'll be fun to see what sort of things they tweak in a game like this, because from my perspective, being somebody who might not even understand the patch notes, right? Like, they're just like, oh, we've adjusted the way that this gas does this thing, and I'll be like,
no.
Can I ask you a question?
Interesting.
What you got?
Like, so I'm looking at the wiki, and like I'm trying to see all the different like things that are in this game. Is there a win state?
I don't believe so.
I don't think so.
I think you're gonna lose.
I think
survival. You just gotta keep surviving, right?
Yeah.
Well, I think like technically you're trying to get to the surface of the asteroid. Is that correct?
Oh.
I'm not sure.
Because what you're saying and like everything I'm seeing, it's like, okay, you're just basically you're chasing that next gas, chasing that next fix of gas, man. And I'm like, all right, well, eventually, do you run out of world?
Yes,
or
you do.
For you to so
currently,
like, no matter what. Like,
currently, in the current version of the game, there's no win state. They probably will not add one. Basically, these games are all derived from the granddaddy of them, which is Dwarf Fortress, which is one of the most complex, ridiculous games. I love reading about Dwarf Fortress. I could never play it because of how crazy complex it is.
It's like Eve, yeah.
Yeah, read, if you have some time, read the Saga of Boat Murder. It is a...
The what?
Okay. This will require some explanation. So there was a Succession Let's Play of a game called Dwarf Fortress, which is a very complicated game about dwarves that go and build a fortress in a very hostile land. The dwarves have the minds of their own. Everything goes wrong, and it's a game of you will eventually die. They called the castle for the Succession Let's Play, where everyone had to play a year, then hand it on to the next person, Boat Murdered, for some reason.
Okay.
And a lot of the guys that did it wrote it narratively. They wrote a story around everything that happened and showed it through screenshots. The story of Boat Murdered is a story of captured elephants, the elephant uprising, most of the dwarves dying in lava and death, an elf war, crazy dwarves locking themselves up in workshops to make satanic trinkets, dwarven mayor bureaucracy. Everything you could imagine that could happen in this game can, because there are so many complex layers of simulation that crazy shit happens always. But the game is impenetrable. It is extremely hard to play. It's been in development for about a decade. Only a couple of guys making it. It's completely free. But some games have tried to give you the Dwarf Fortress feel, but make it more accessible. RimWorld is one of them. There are a couple of others. I think Castle Story was trying to do it, and they kickstarted.
Even RimWorld is still so fucking hard, though.
Yes, and Oxygen Not
RimWorld
Included is trying to do it too.
Just like, fuck.
Well, that's the
Oxygen
thing.
Not Included, I think, is much more accessible because it feels more it feels more lighthearted.
Yeah, and it's top down, and the UI is a bit
The slow death
less
of humans
crazy.
is
But that's the
lighthearted.
thing about Dwarf Fortress. You
They're
can't make a Dwarf
duplicates.
Fortress style game without all of the layers of simulation, because the whole point is emergence and unexpected behavior. You can't do that if you haven't got a bunch of systems for the NPCs to interact within. So you can't simplify it too much, because it just won't work. So I'm intrigued to see which ends up being the spiritual successor to Dwarf Fortress that people are more apt to access, that are able to play.
Right.
So I'm intrigued. Both of these look like great options. Clay makes great games. So it's currently in early access. It's been in alpha. They could have bought it on the site for a while, but it did come to Steam early access. But there's a lot of work to do there. Nowhere near done. Neither's RimWorld, but RimWorld's been in development a lot longer.
Yeah.
I'm intrigued. I want to try one of them at some point. What you got, Jesse?
So we talked about this last week, and I was like, I'm definitely going to play it. Regalia of Men and Monarchs.
Yes, I haven't got around to this yet, but I'm intrigued.
What is that one?
So it's for some reason I'm on a tactics game kick right now. I don't know why.
It's a good
this
kick to
game
have.
It's a tactical game where you play as a young man who has been given a kingdom, and it's in shitty, terrible state, and it's you.
I love that idea already.
Yeah, it's you, your two sisters, one who's like the bubbly one who's like, I'm the sexy but like mean one, and then you're like manservant. And you go there and discover that your kingdom is in ruins, and you've inherited this mess, and you mistakenly like eat the ashes of an ancestor, and he
Oh.
I'm sorry, how do you accidentally do that?
Yeah.
The main character's an idiot, and
Okay.
he eats them, and so the ancestor, the ghost, follows you around because he's inside your stomach, and so he's like, you damn kids, and so he's like your mentor. And the basic gist is the like evil bank has come to claim the kingdom because no one for centuries has paid all the dues, and
Oh
like
my.
you have to rebuild the kingdom while battling all these evil things to like get people to show up in your town and stuff.
Oh, these are all the things
This
I love.
looks awesome.
Yeah.
It is super fun. Here's
This
my
was
problem.
Kickstarted?
Yeah, the first part of this game,
Think so,
the
yeah.
first hour or so, is the most it's all dialogue, it's all talking. You don't
Oh.
really like do much. So it's like I was gonna make a video, but I was like, I'm gonna have to play this and maybe stream it later. Like,
Get in a
you
bit.
can't make a video of a game like this because the first hour is all dialogue
Okay.
Right.
and like explanation, like how it works.
Oh,
So-
yeah.
But once you actually get into it, super fucking fun. Like, it is great. The art's cool. All the characters are great. They're very tropey, but like super fun. And it's literally, on the screen there, you just had like the four of them and like the sassy sister and the one who's like cute. And the guy's like, I'm the tough guy. And then the main character, of course, is the guy who's like, oh man, I don't want to be king. Oh, gee.
Of course.
And it's pretty entertaining. But mechanically, it's great. Like, story-wise, everything's like meh, ho hum. But mechanically, and what they have you do by building your town up and going out and find people to live in your town, and then they give you upgrades, and so like you have to manage a town while doing stuff and battling, and it's
that in
pretty-
itself is a story. The aspect of rebuilding. I love rebuilding things.
Mhm.
Coming into something that is a mess. It's one of the main reasons I love Andromeda. Despite all of its flaws, it is you inherit a mess and then you are asked to make it better. And I find that a very compelling thing to invest in. That's a good motivation for me as a player, especially when I could see the results of my labor.
That was one of the side aspects of Stardew Valley too. Is that you had like this one area of the town that was just a shithole, and as you like worked and like helped the town out more and more, it would like come back to life.
Yeah, and
That's
game
cool.
design, it works well too, because there's a world that is built, and you are being introduced to it, and it explains why everybody has to explain everything to you is because you're like rebuilding from the ground up, but there's
A new
still an
guy.
existing world that's very rich.
Right.
I
Game
still
design-wise.
need to get around to sitting down and really going hard on Little King's story, especially now that they have really fixed the PC version, because that is what would happen if you mixed Animal Crossing with Pikmin with a kind of town builder.
Oh my god, that sounds amazing to me.
Okay, you need to play that right now.
Oh my god, yes, please.
PC version's the best version.
Oof.
It was on
I
Wii initially.
lost so much of my life to Animal Crossing. because I like beat that game on the DS. You know, I had the golden everything.
It's
I had all the
beatable?
furniture sets. I mean,
If
essentially,
you have the
once
best
you have-
everything, I
yeah,
guess.
you have the best
Sure.
everything.
I guess that does make sense,
everything's
yeah.
paid off, and you don't own Tom Nook anything. That's like the win state.
Yeah, F that guy, by the way.
Right? He's
Fuck Tom
one
Nook.
of the creepiest villains in any game because he is like, we all know a Tom Nook, right? Like we all have like
What,
the
a
best that we owe
creepy,
money
abusive
to.
loan shark? Do we?
Yeah.
I want someone
I mean,
to
the
call
bank,
someone,
I
like,
guess.
you know what you are,
The IRS.
You're a Tom
Tom
Nook,
Nook.
sir.
look, sir.
Yeah, give it a try. It originally came on the Wii, so nobody bought it. They did a Vita version called New Little King Story. Nobody bought that because 1, Vita, and 2, it ran terribly. Every version of this game has ran badly, but there's an interesting story because when it initially they ported it to PC out of nowhere, and then the port was awful. Like it ran terribly. And what they did was they approached the guy that fixed the original Dark Souls on PC. Durante is his name. The guy who did the big mod that made it better. They actually came to him and said, "Can you do anything about this?" And they gave him the source code, like the full commercial game, which is mind-blowing that you'd ever do that to a modder. He went into the game and was like, okay, the people that programmed this are crazy. Like the way that they did it was so patchwork, like it's broken stuff built on top of broken stuff and stuff that doesn't make sense related to this. But he fixed it up as best he could, and now it's way, way, way better. And on PC, this game is just a really unique genre blend. You've got the Animal Crossing aspect, you've got the Pikmin aspect. You literally take your king out and you lead different kinds of villagers and you throw them at things to solve problems. So you can
literally like Pikmin style.
Yeah, you throw them. You literally throw them at him. So there's different villagers can evolve into different jobs as your kingdom, which is bankrupt, gradually grows and builds. There's tons of puzzles. There's stuff like you'll get mail from different villagers in your mailbox, asking you to solve problems. A bunch of story development there. All sorts of unique, interesting mini games and mechanics of boss fights, and the style of it is. It looks like a children's game, but it's actually got a lot of adult humor in it. It's got really subversive, interesting humor, and it's completely overlooked. Most people don't even know it exists, and it's wonderful.
I will check that out because I still have my Wii set up.
Oh yeah, you could buy a secondhand copy for like $3 probably. It's pretty good on Wii. It's the PC version's a bit better, but it's still great on Wii. So, yeah, I'd highly recommend it. I just need to have 40 hours to sit down and really go hard on it. I'd really get far into that game. It's incredible.
One game since Twin Peaks just aired on Sunday.
Okay.
One game that I wanted to give a shout out to fans of Twin Peaks for is Thimbleweed Park.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. There's a lot. I feel like there's so many games that are influenced by Twin Peaks these days.
I was expecting Deadly Premonition or
Yeah,
Alan Wake.
Deadly Premonition, Life is Strange. But the newest one is Thimbleweed Park, I'd say, which is by Ron Gilbert. And a lot of the classic team behind like Maniac Mansion and those old LucasArts point and click games.
Yeah.
It is like the sexed up version of what you remember LucasArts games to be like.
Yes.
Yeah, so it is the point and click genre, and you can like push, pull, open, close, talk to, et cetera. But the interface is so much easier than the old days. There's no pixel hunting.
Thank God.
The color palettes is like, instead of the old one, it's pixelated, but it's like this beautiful whole like lighting, like dynamic lighting, and there's like a great score. It's the same humor and the style of writing as the old games, and it's just so delightful, and it's got a Twin Peaksy feel. The idea is that you play as one of like a couple different characters, Maniac Mansion style, and there's two detectives that come into this town where everything's like a little weird, and they're here to solve a murder, but it leads to so much more than that. So I've only just like gotten into the gameplay of it, and I'm loving it so much because it just has that feeling, that nostalgic feeling for me, but is easier to play.
You brought up a really interesting point that's actually come up quite a bit over the last couple of months. The idea that we're seeing revivals of old classics, and some of them are too close to the old classic to the point where we realize what we remember through our rose-tinted spectacles actually doesn't really work anymore. And then there are other games that are not about reviving an old classic. They're about reviving what you thought the old classic was in your mind's eye. I'm interested. Did you play Broken Age at all?
I did, yes.
How would you compare the two? Because Broken Age was criticized for not maybe being a great point and click, whereas this one seems to be getting a much better reception. What do you think about the two?
Yeah, I think like I love the art style of Broken Age, and I love
it's beautiful
in the world. The first one I played through and I enjoyed. I never got through part 2 because
I didn't either.
I just got stuck on the puzzles. And
there was a massive difficulty jump between the two.
I feel like, and I thought I was just dumb at first, but then I was seeing online a lot of other people were also getting stuck, and I think it feels like those old games in that way, in that like a lot of the puzzle solving might be like a little
moon logic,
a little obtuse, a tiny bit obtuse, and that was kind of like when I actually think back to like a Day of the Tentacle, like how was I supposed to know that I was supposed to stick the hamster in the microwave? You just kind of got to guess for a lot of these things. And yeah, so the kind of like cobbled together puzzles is like a recreation of those old times. But yeah, Thimbleweed Park is the recreation of the feeling of those old times, and I really like that. And I still love Broken Age, and I'll still buy the merch. But I never got to finish part 2.
Let me just tell you, you did not miss out on much. The last puzzle in Broken Age might be one of the most difficult things I've ever done in a game ever. Like, it is not reasonable, the like thought process they had of you figuring out, and then the result is not an ending. Like, it is we're gonna wrap up the story in the credits, which is like what? Like, we didn't even finish the story. What? And it's we're done.
Do you think it was the Kickstarter that in the feature creep and splitting it into 2 parts that really suffered? Because I think with the split in particular, the massive jump in difficulty between part 1, which was so easy even I could figure it out, and part 2, which was, oh God, what? I need to walk through right now, was massively jarring. If it was just released as one game, do you feel like they would have been able to smooth that curve out a bit?
I think so. I think you're right. And I think one thing that I noticed was that when I was playing part 2, I was like, well, this should have been rolled into part 1 because it's like a lot of the similar like gameplay and feel. It's just that it's like you're reversed in terms of where you are, like in the ship or on the world. And so I think if it had been one big long game, it might have been a little more elegant.
And easier to figure out things. One of the biggest puzzles at the end is literally remembering shit that happened in the first half of the game. And you're like, it's been months since I've even touched it.
Yeah.
How am I supposed to figure this out? Oh, yeah. Like, if it was one game, that would have been a probably pretty fun experience. But the cut and the split was like jarring with some of the things they wanted you to do. And you're like, how? There's no world in which this happens.
Really intriguing to see how the budget issues with that game, and in fact, the game's own financial success actually kind of resulted in its downfall to some extent. Double Fine's a little infamous when it comes to budget management. And Broken Age, while it was a great Kickstarter success and certainly drove more people to the platform, the way that it was handled was not ideal and probably resulted in an inferior product. It's a shame they actually didn't make less money because they may have constrained themselves. And honestly, limitation can lead to great game design. A lot of these games back in the day were so limited. You were mentioning color palette. A lot of these art styles came directly from that fact. And regardless of that, some of them still look great. I mean, look at Sonic. Look at the original Sonic. Timeless, aesthetically. If they had better technology, that wouldn't have made the game look better. It might very well have made it look worse. That's why you go back to a PlayStation 1 game that's in 3D and it all looks terrible. An N64 game looks terrible. But a Mega Drive game or a Super Nintendo game, because those limitations, still look great because they're working within those limitations. Same with music in particular. The classic tracks, Streets of Rage, Sonic, all that kind of thing. Having a full access to an orchestra wouldn't have made that better.
Oh, yeah. You have to create really iconic tunes with just a couple of notes.
Which means great hooks most of the time.
Yeah.
Don't overcomplicate it. Yeah, it's cool. It's good to hear the Thimbleweed Park seems to hit the nail on the head. I think our discussion's going to happen more. It's been happening with the new Quake in particular, because there was a lot of pushback against Quake Champions, and I went to bat for it last week because I finally played the beta and really loved it, and I made the claim that there's a group of purists that are sort of against it in principle based on their memory of what Quake was 10 years ago in a non-competitive environment versus what Quake actually was. And that Quake Champions was very Quake, and the changes were a good thing to advance it and make it feel fresh. They didn't ruin it, but there is a very much a holdout group that believes that. And if they don't want to play it, that's cool. They could still play Quake to this day if they like. But the memory of Quake versus what Quake actually was, very different.
Yeah, and I'm interested. Like, I got a chance to play the new Crash Bandicoot, you know, at like PSX, and I realized like I was like, wow, I'm really bad at this.
Yeah,
but I think it might just be because they really went for that old feeling of Crash Bandicoot, which was very punishing. A lot of these games that we used to play were very punishing just due to technical limitations, and things have gotten easier now, and so they have had to start to try to go back to those punishing feelings, like in Dark Souls, all the From Software stuff, because we just want that feeling again. And so it's interesting to see the actual games come back and be brutal.
Well, that's been the big split on ukulele over the past few weeks, hasn't it? Some people like, yeah, this is exactly what a modern Banjo-Kazooie would be. And then other people like, this is keeping the things which were in Banjo-Kazooie that we didn't really like and don't really have any place. And as a result, the game isn't good. Or maybe they missed the point in some way. It's like, well, let's have 200 collectibles or whatever. It's like, yeah, but that wasn't what people enjoyed about the game, and the way that collectibles were designed in Banjo-Kazooie was almost as breadcrumbs to lead you to other places in the level instead of scattering them in random areas. And it's an intriguing ongoing discussion. I saw a discussion about a week ago where someone like, damn, I wish we could have RTS like Command and Conquer. And I was like, it wasn't competitive, and people weren't worried about, the optimum build and stuff. I was like, no, they totally were. Like, you don't remember tank rushing? That was a huge thing. The problem is you weren't watching esports at that time.
Yeah.
Those games were highly competitive. You had all of the elements that you have right now in modern RTS. It's just we didn't get to see it. You played single player and comp stomp, or with your friends who were also bad. You didn't play at a world championship level, so you didn't understand the skill ceiling of the game. It's an intriguing concept, so you got to build those games around the nostalgia and what people thought they liked.
Yeah, and like I'm really intrigued to see what Final Fantasy VII, out of everything that's gonna be coming out, is gonna be
They can't do it right, can they? It's impossible.
Never live
surely.
up to the hype. Never in a million years.
Oh no way.
No.
I want it to be good, and I'm holding out. I'm holding out hope. I am an optimist, and at the very least, it's going to be incredible to see all of that art in an updated style.
You think we'll ever see Kingdom Hearts 3? You know what? I bet our grandchildren will love
One
it.
day, yeah. One day it will come out. One day.
Yeah, our descendants play it. I bet they'll really enjoy it.
Yeah.
In Neo Tokyo when it's finally released.
Those kids won't know how good they have it.
No.
Yeah.
So there was a game that I played that I kind of promised my viewers I'd talk about, because I lost my entire day yesterday to this thing. Sorry, I'm a bit hoarse right now. Oh, yeah. The previous game to it, so it's called Endless Space 2. The previous game was kind of neat. The studio called Amplitude have been making games with the word endless in them, and they're all in the same kind of universe. So they made Endless Space, which I was like, when it first came out. It was okay. Then they made Dungeon of the Endless, which was a weird dungeon crawler / tower defense thing. Very unique, very strange. Then they made something called Endless Legend, which was like a fantasy, almost like fantasy civilization game. Kind of like Civ, hex-based. Now they made Endless Space 2. They're all in the same universe, which means they have ties together in terms of lore and races and things. Endless Space 2 has been in early access for a while. I've avoided it up until now because I don't want to play a game like that that's incomplete. They decided, we're good, we're ready to go. I just lost I was up until midnight last night. I started about 2 p.m., said, I'll learn this. And I sat through the first hour or so, because learning a 4X grand strategy game is complicated. Takes a while. They have a nice little tutorial mode that says, oh, if you played 4X games like Civ or Master of Orion before, we're going to put a tutorial on that teaches you things specific to endless space. Everything else you could probably handle yourself. And they were right. You could probably handle it yourself. And midnight comes, and I'm like, just one more turn. Just one more turn. Those great feelings that you have with stuff like Civilization. And I am really enjoying this so far. There are definitely aspects that I think need touching up. It feels like the game probably still should be in early access to some extent. There are some performance problems. There are features that are not as well fleshed out as I would like. But what's cool about Endless Space and the Endless series in general that they've been capitalizing on over the past couple of games is really fleshing out the different races in the game and having them both be unique in terms of lore and backstory, but also in terms of how they play. So in a game like Civ, you'll pick, say, the Congo or America or Persia, and they might have a unique leader, unique music, maybe a special unit and a special building and some special ability, which is cool. But in this game, you pick a race, they play completely differently.
Right.
There is a race that, well, let's just say it eats anything that isn't it. So let's say if you get, you can get different kinds of colonists from different races that all have the unique benefits and stuff, and that can also actually cause unrest amongst certain societies for obvious reasons. This race, it just eats them, and I think it's an insect race, and it kind of spawns out new insects. So it's like, whoa, that's brutal, but also like an insect colony would be. There's a race that doesn't kind of colonize planets. It lives on arc ships. So it sort of travels the galaxy in these giant ship worlds and exploits planets for resources, but it doesn't colonize them traditionally. There's another race where you have to buy your population. There's no natural population growth. I think they're building robots.
Right.
So,
yeah, I was going to say, that sounds like maybe they're robots. Or...
Yeah. I'm currently playing a race that's sort of an alien scientific race. They may be one of the least unique, but they're cool anyway, where they pursue knowledge to the point where it's a terrible idea. They blew up their own moon. Really?
Cool. Just to see like what happens, you know.
It seems like there's like vastly different gameplay depending on what race you choose.
Yeah.
That sounds like the replayability is just so infinite and inviting, because I feel like for Civ, you have slight differences here and there, but this seems like a completely different game every time.
Yeah, so there's it's a double-edged sword, because the game has some interesting story elements, and every different race you play provides you different themed quests and stories. So right now, I'm the crazy science race. I have an AI who I'm kind of trying to grow, and I sort of influenced it along the way. I was like, I want you to be a sciencey AI, or I want you to be a militaristic AI, or I want you to make me money. And I've sort of, it's got really curious. And it's like, I really want you to go check this place out because it looks cool. Can you send probes here and stuff? And it advances. It's becoming Skynet. And I'm like, oh God, these guys blew up their own moon. They screwed up everything. They nuked half their own planet. They're going to screw this up as well, aren't they? Like, I'm pursuing a line which will probably blow up my homeworld or something. And every one of these races has unique quests that are specific to them. But the thing about that is, yes, while these races have vastly different mechanics, they all play differently, because it's a bit more story-driven than most of these games, like Civ's kind of make your own story, I feel like once you've played each race, it's going to lessen the experience of playing it again.
Gotcha.
Oh.
While it's got really cool, interesting mechanics, like, I'm going to see the same story again, aren't I?
Right.
So I think that'll weaken it a little bit. I don't think it's the biggest deal, because that's not really what those games are about. The story's neat. It's a neat addition. It's a bit of flavor, but doing those same quests again isn't that important. And there's some really cool little aspects to this game. For instance, political affiliation is something they've really gone for. My race is a very sciencey race, and they start off being the ruling party is the science party. That won't necessarily be the same depending on what you do. Right now, the pacifists are taking over, because I took a bunch of pacifistic profit-making actions, and my scientists are like, you're not really supporting us. So they're gradually growing, and they're going to take over the government eventually in the next election. I'll probably lose to the pacifists.
Oh my gosh! So the political ecosystem is different for each race.
Yeah, they all start off in a particular way, but it can change. Yeah, my guys were science orientated, but I took a bunch of actions that weren't. So now every election, it's like the pacifist party is making gains. And if they get control, it's going to change the laws that I can enact. So right now, yeah, cool. My major Senate leader is the scientist, and he's a hero, and he gains levels and a bunch of boosts. He could lose power, and that means all my science laws get repealed. And I'm like, I've got to change my laws completely now. But maybe I don't want that. So maybe I go for a dictatorship. I just change it all out. I say, nope, you don't get to do that. I'm going to have a political revolution and become a dictatorship instead. So that completely changes the way that the game plays.
Well, that's how you run a space thing, man. With an iron fist of the emperor. Come on.
You by default,
just like Machiavelli says.
Yeah.
You by default a democracy, but democracies have problems. Maybe it doesn't go the way you want it to.
Come on. Come on.
My interactions with other races are affecting it as well, because their culture's seeping into mine. And as people migrate to my empire, they have different ideas about how things should be run as well. Yeah, the dominant race is the Solons, who are very scientific, but I've got a lot of immigrants, basically, that are more about farming or more about ecology and all that kind of thing. So actions I take and events that have different choices all impact that. And I find that really interesting, because I think most games like that don't really tackle the political aspect of your empire all that well. And also take into account the fact that you don't have full political control. You're not a dictator unless you are, of course. So I was digging that.
That is some Sun Tzu shit right there. You're not a dictator.
Yeah.
Unless you are.
The game has a real cool sense of mystery. I'm always finding new things. I go into a new system, it's like, there's anomalies here, we should scan those anomalies. I'm like, well, all the plants here are machines. So they have this benefit and all that kind of thing. And that all has story as well. So when you land on a different planet, it's got a cool cutscene. It's like, oh, we discovered that this Earth is hollow. There's giant caverns, or there was an ancient civilization here. And that's all driven at the story as well. And your scientific curiosity lets you discover more stuff, and that all kind of levels up as you gain new tech. So I'm having a blast so far. It's not perfect. It gets a bit chuggy the later on in the game. It slows down a bit. There's a lot of micromanagement. There are certain things they could do better at delivering the information about. It doesn't seem to have an espionage system of any sort, which I really miss. I love spying on people in games like that. It doesn't look like they have a system for that. And the battles are very much, you pick your tactic and you watch it. They're not very involved.
Right.
But I'm really enjoying some of the different things that it does. And I think that compared to its predecessor, it has an amazing identity of its own. I love the idea of making every race unique in terms of backstory and how it plays. I'm really excited to play the guys that don't have worlds, that just fly around on giant ships. I want to see how they play, because it'll be a completely different experience to what I just played. So, yeah, I'm really enjoying it so far. Flaws, certainly, but these devs are generally very good at getting on top of those. And if the previous game, Endless Legend, is anything to go by, they're going to release tons of expansions with new races. So that'll be great. You know, in a couple of years, there'll probably be 20 completely unique races with amazing art and different voice actors, and the diplomacy is completely different when I interact with them. So I'm really digging that. Very cool. Also, it supports modding from day one, which is great. They put Steam Workshop in the game, so I can't wait to see what the community comes up with. They could add new races. They could do mods converted into Star Trek or something like that, you know?
That'd be cool.
Battlestar or Star Wars or Babylon 5 or something. Yeah, I'm digging. It's pretty cool. A massive time sink. Pretty cool. Anyone else have anything quick before we go to a break? Nope. Cool.
Really?
We covered a lot of games today. Happy about that.
Yeah.
When we come back, we do have a discussion. We're going to talk about localization. We're going to stick our hand in the wasp's nest on this one. It's been coming up quite a bit lately, so we're going to have a nuanced and sensible discussion, right? Yes?
Like civilized folks.
Yeah.
We'll see how well that one goes. So don't embarrass me, chap. We'll be right back after the break. You're watching the Co-optional Podcast. Do not go anywhere. Final section of the show coming up. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Co-Optional Podcast. We got news, we got discussion, we got releases for you in the last hour of the show. We'll start with something pretty brief. Not really a lot of discussion really required on this one, but since there was an update today, I'd like to talk about it. So there was a spat over the last few days with Wargaming.net, the developers of World of Tanks. A YouTuber and former community contributor for the game by the name of Sir Fock, I believe is how you pronounce it. I'm going to assume that could be Foch. Nobody knows. One way or the
those
other.
are the only two options.
Yeah,
Yes.
Sir Foge?
Only two possible options.
Sir Fuke.
So there was a recent release of a new tank in this game. I believe it's a made-up tank. I don't think it's a real one. Chrysler G something, or I don't know. I don't play all the tanks. I know a lot of people do that. One of the most popular games in the world by far. Big money spinner for that company. He released a video critical of said tank, claiming that the tank barely had any weak points, but weirdly enough, the main gun on the tank was deliberately weak, so that in order to play it effectively, you had to shoot so-called premium ammo. Now, World of Tanks is a free-to-play game. They do quite literally sell gold ammunition, which apparently provides better armor penetration statistics than regular ammo. You can buy it in-game as well, but it costs a lot of in-game currency, so it's a bit grindy. So some people have been a bit unhappy about the way the game's sort of been going and leaning on you to try and get you to buy that stuff. But what happened was he released this video. He was not kind to the tank. Not that I think an imaginary tank has feelings, but hey. And he was threatened by Wargaming.net directly, who said, if you do not take down this video, we may issue a copyright strike against your YouTube channel, which, as you're well aware, can have serious consequences to anybody that is running a YouTube channel, huge limitations, demonetization, potential ban. You know, that's a way of cutting off someone's livelihood. It's pretty horrible.
Is he part of, like, a program? I'm trying to look this up.
Yes.
Like, a program within World of Tanks where they, like, promote specific people?
Yeah, it was a community contributor, I think. Yeah. So they gave him access, like they flew him out to like Tank Fest or something, which I assume is the world, every con something.
The World Summit of.
Yeah, gave him a bit of access here and there.
I know it feels like it's easy to shit on World of Tanks, like Tank Fest, lol. Every event they've ever thrown is like a next level party.
Oh, absolutely. They had actual tanks at PAX, was it, I think?
Yeah, they've done that before.
Running over stuff. Yeah.
The legends of the parties they throw is like next level. It's like what you imagine insane people do. Like,
I mean,
what?
I interviewed the CEO, and I'm pretty sure he was drunk at the time. That was a few years ago, so I think he already started the party early. But yes, this didn't go down well, obviously. They just issued an apology today, which was a refreshing apology because they didn't try and duck the subject. They basically said, we screwed up.
Yeah.
They initially had claimed, which was egregious, that the video contained hate speech and homophobia, which was completely false. Not only that, it's not actually a justifiable reason to use the DMCA anyway. I mean, obviously it would be shitty if the person did it, but that's not a reason to use a copyright strike. The video had none of that. It certainly had harsh language, but nothing even close to what they're describing. And
but those are my homophobic slurs.
Yes.
Taking it down.
Indeed. Apparently they belong to...
I made those words up.
Wargaming.
It's mine.
Yeah, the video contained nothing of the sort. Like, that was a very slanderous accusation. They have completely retracted it. They said they will not make a copyright action based against opinion-based videos on publicly released content. Good, because you can't. That's not legal. And also that the video did not contain that of any sort. I believe he was removed from the Community Contributors Program, which is fine. Like, that's okay. If he's very critical of the game...
I wouldn't want to be in it anymore anyway.
No, exactly not. And that's their right, and that's fine.
I mean, this is crazy because the apology that they issued is completely recalcitrant and it addresses the issue, and it seems like everything that a company should be doing. So was this original threat like somebody going rogue or something?
They have a lot of offices. That's the problem. It's kind of like Sega. Like, I've discussed Sega in the past. Sega almost ruined my career several years ago. Sega Japan, specifically. Oh. Yeah, they're crazy on copyright when it comes to YouTube. But Sega of America and Sega of Europe want nothing to do with it. So Wargaming has a lot of offices as well. It's entirely possible that, yes, one of the officers got belligerent. Now, of course, the entire company's paying the...
left hand didn't know what the right hand was doing.
Yeah,
and,
yeah, totally. I'm hoping that office is educated now about this, because I wouldn't want to see that happen again. I'm glad that you know, it looks like a sincere apology. They're not trying to double down or dodge, and I appreciate that, and I think that everybody should. It's no excuse for what they originally did, but I do believe that if you provide a sincere apology and don't try and dodge the issue, that's good, and people should be applauded for that because you can hold them accountable to that now. They've said it publicly. You can hold them to that.
Absolutely.
That's literally, like, that's all people want is just, like, in life is just, like, a fucked up sorry. Like, to constantly dodge it is, like, everyone knows you goofed. Just say you goofed. We get it, guys. We get you. And, like, this is one of those moments where it's, like, they stepped up and did the right thing, said, like, we are sorry. And even though, and like, you can hold that, like, oh, they admitted they fucked up. Still, it's like, that's a place to start from and move on from. And, like, we're going to really work with our community to fix problems like this. It's needed. And you have to commend people who have the courage to do shit like that, especially big companies like this. Like, it's needed.
Well, I think it's important that the way that we receive a sincere apology is gracious and not...
Absolutely.
A lot of people are very spiteful about it, and they just want the pound of flesh, and I think that behavior discourages sincere apologies. This is why PR people just twisting and trying to get out of these issues exist.
Yeah, a lot of times PR people can't say a true apology because then they are liable for lawsuits.
Yes.
So it's a legal reason why they can't do it. But this wasn't even I'm sorry that you felt bad about this. This was like we messed up. And so that is awfully big of them.
Yeah, right. It's good.
Yeah, good for them.
Should never happen in the first place, but I appreciate that apology. I think it's a good one. Cool.
And it's also on Sir Falk or whatever his name is at this point to not be like, haha, told you so. Like, dude, accept the apology and be gracious as fuck about this. Like, that was cool of them. So
yeah. If I was him, I'd just get away from that game entirely. That would sour me for a game forever. I won't want to be anywhere near it. All right, good. So all's well ends well, hopefully, on that one. We will, needless to say, be keeping a very close eye on them in future for this kind of behavior. They're in the spotlight for a while for all the wrong reasons. Okay, moving on. So there's a little bit of news regarding this, but it's a wider topic that I wanted to tackle for a while. And since we happen to have a bona fide VO artist in the studio right now,
I wouldn't say artist, but
wow, damn.
Talking to a can. It's okay. It's right. He's right to criticize me in my way of life.
It's a topic that I think is very interesting and you could provide a unique perspective of, and is a topic of discussion and nuance, which is often treated in exactly the opposite way. It's treated in a very extreme, zero tolerance, my way or the highway kind of way. And there was an article I read recently which infuriated me on this topic, and I shouldn't be surprised as to where it came from, but I'm not going to name any names, don't want to give them any traffic. They're basically well, close enough. That flat out said, localization is not censorship. Just flat out said it. It's like, well, I mean, I imagine some of it is, right? I mean, by definition, I looked at the dictionary definition of censorship. Yeah, it fits in there. Some of it is. It's like, but no, none of it is. Like, no, some of it is. This is the problem with it. Like, this discussion regarding localization, some people have very extreme opinions that have no room for, but what about this situation? But what about that situation?
That's the thing, is localization is so broad. Like, it's such a huge undertaking that involves so many things.
Yeah, and so there's a couple of different elements. The reason we bring this up is over the last 24 hours, if you're watching live, a couple of days ago, if you're watching on the VOD, Nintendo altered a victory gesture in Mario Kart because somehow they didn't know that in several countries, that's very fucking rude, yes. Yeah, it's like, yes, it is.
You could be a squid kid that's just like, hey, fuck you.
It's like, fuck you. Yeah. That is...
Get fucked.
Yeah.
I win.
Kind of rude. So...
You tell him.
They decided to alter it. Now it's just, instead of with the bicep thing.
Right.
Some people... I mean, I always say, so there's always someone on the internet that gets upset about it. I don't like to blow it up as if, like, well, somebody got upset on the internet, so we need to respond. It's like, no, it's a good part of the continuing conversation, whereby this is one of the reasons why things get changed, because of regional differences, especially when it comes to Japanese-developed games in particular. But there are circumstances where changes either go too far, are badly done, or actually don't even happen because the developer just thinks that they can't release this game in the West at all because there are just too many things that they believe either the West will not understand or the West would be offended by. And we've seen examples of games that don't come out that really kind of should. And one of those that I stumbled across a video of, I think it was on a Region Locked video last couple of days, about the Phoenix Wright game versus Sherlock Holmes that never got localized. I thought, wow, that
Right.
I mean, we'd love that, surely.
Those are my favorite things. Those are my favorite things in the world.
Right? Two things I love and I'll never have them.
Yeah. And they were speculating as to why. There's no confirmed 100% reason as to why it's done, but the leading theory is that this game was set very much in the Meiji era of Japan and also had Victorian England in it. And it references a lot of historical racism between the Japanese and the English, using terms that the English may have used back then to reference the Japanese people, and possibly vice versa. And as a result of that, believing that removing that would kind of be impossible at that point, that it would really neuter the game and would take away from the story and context, they just said, it's not worth the effort. It's not worth the effort to bring it over. And that to me is a very intriguing case.
Mm.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, that's something that has been an issue for years about what's worth bringing over since the days of SNES and Nintendo and like the
war specifically, right? Like historical like interactions between two countries. Like we've had plenty of games that have come from here and gone to, say, for a really obvious example, gone to Germany, and where they just like change a bunch of stuff about the game because they're like,
the imagery is removed. And
I mean, that's a legal aspect. You know, they weren't allowed to have for the longest time. I don't know what it currently is right now, but swastikas and obvious Nazi iconography was not okay in the games, so they had to change those. The interesting thing as well about this is, this is a very complex and nuanced issue. This is not the only thing. It's not about, oh, they might be offended. There's
please.
There's the aspect of they might not get it. So this has come up quite a bit with Persona. And there's been some interesting articles by actual translators and localizers that said the Persona 5 in particular, localization is pretty gnarly in places. Like some of the text just kind of doesn't make sense. And they showed some examples, but it's a very text-heavy game. Like I have not noticed anything in that game that was egregious, but somebody pointed out that during one of the quizzes, and this is one of the interesting, unique things about Persona, which is actually very relevant to localization, is while you're in class, you'll be occasionally asked a question. A lot of these questions are very Japanocentric. So they will talk about things that would be taught in a Japanese high school. But as somebody from England, I'm probably not going to know the answer. Interestingly, one of them is apparently...
I guessed on almost all of those.
Apparently, one of them is flat out wrong. That the explanation of it, the localized explanation of the concept, one, makes no sense, and two, the answer's incorrect. Which is definitely an issue on that. But the thing about Persona is that I think it lives walking a very thin line. Because yes, some of the stuff in this would be potentially confusing to a Westerner, but that's part of its charm, because it's a very Japanocentric game. If Persona was created in America, it would not feel the same. The whole Japanese high school and Japanese culture and socialization and rigorous schedule and the expectations of you as a student are very much something that originated in Japan.
I mean,
I think he's saying they're all lazy ass kids, American.
Yeah, it's like with anime subtitles, you have to decide like how much of the original Japanese you're keeping and how much you have to put the footnotes in, like the little explanations, or like
I was gonna say that
you just
too.
Convert it to American language or references.
Like way back when I used to, get like weird fan sub VHSs from people and stuff.
Subs.
Yeah, they would have, like they would basically just translate it exactly, but then have all kinds of fucking notes all over the place. Like, you're not going to get this because this is like an idiom in Japan that means this and references this. And we don't have something that even remotely compares in English. So I'm just writing it, like
a lot of games and animes, they have to figure out the point of diminishing returns. Like, at what point is it just not going to make any sense?
Not worth it.
And
then
you don't really
do you adapt it?
Yeah, and like in professional stuff, you don't get those sorts of footnotes. Yeah. So then I think translators have to say to themselves, okay, do we sacrifice meaning so that we can keep the tone? Or do we sacrifice the tone so that we preserve the meaning? And it's I'm sure like one of the most difficult jobs to say, like, how do we make it so that the idea and the feeling gets across to somebody who's playing this game, even if it's not exact. And for some people, it's like, no, it needs to be exact because otherwise that's not what the game was, and I'm sure that's the most difficult job.
If you ever have the time, I don't know where it's at. You have to find it, unfortunately, but go look at the process that went into making Final Fantasy X. The localization, the translation for that is crazy because a lot of the themes, like, you kind of get the religious overtones and everything in the like English version, but a lot of the themes are super related to Japan, and it's like them trying to translate and make it understandable, which is why you have some scenes that end up with like ha ha ha, like you have scenes that still like they're like, how do we make this work? And so like the process of them going through it's super interesting that it seemed like a giant mess, and they're like, I think what Dodger was saying, at the end of the day, they were like, there's no way we can take what they've created and retell it. Like, we have to tell our own story using, it's kind of like Power Rangers, using their footage.
Yeah. I more often than not, the things that get changed are cultural differences. But then also from dubbing, I've dubbed a couple of Korean games. And another thing that has to be taken into consideration is matching lip flap.
Yeah.
So sometimes they'll say things that just like, we can't get all that in. We have to change the meaning essentially and try to retain some of what's going on, but we just need to make it fit. So there's timing, there's the cultural differences. There's one time where like a character was like referencing a really popular song in Korea, but we don't know what it is here. So it wouldn't make any sense and it's not worth changing things over. I mean, there's a lot that goes into localization, and it goes through so many hands too. And sometimes it's just down to the booth director saying like, I don't know, like, let's change it to this maybe to make it fit. Honestly, it's and especially with Nintendo, there's so many hands that have to be a part of that you don't know necessarily where it goes, and there's not always a lot of oversight. So things slip by and people take it as like, oh, this is censorship, when really it's just they need to make it change for one reason or another.
Yeah, I know that at Riot they have an entire team, and their job is like knowing every single country that League of Legends is going to go to and what they will allow. And they have to always keep tabs on all of that because they're constantly developing new champions for League of Legends, right? So like if they create a champion and they have to change the weapon, they have to change, like, is the character smoking? Because some countries don't want smoking characters.
China is not a fan of that.
There's all kinds of shit like that where they literally have to have a team of people who are ready when they're making a new character to be like, okay, well, if this is going to go to China, we have to change this. If it's going to go to India, we have to change this. Like,
well, when WoW first went to China, I think TV probably knows as well, the changes they made to all the undead characters and the changes they made to when you die, you just become a tombstone.
I think you can't show exposed bone.
Yeah, which is like
in China, in China, there's like because of respect for ancestors, they don't allow showing dead.
Gotcha.
So, and that's true of their movies as well. So no American movies can have like supernatural, ghosts, zombies, anything like that because of you're not allowed to show your ancestors.
Yeah. And a lot of like the localization thing also comes down to just flat out incompetence in many cases, or a lack of focus. We see Fire Emblem Fates had a lot of justified criticism for nonsensical dialogue, the crap about pickles,
I
lines
was
that
just about to say Picklegate.
yeah, lines that just aren't even there. And I think for VO artists in particular, it's probably quite tricky because you're not all recording in the studio at the same time, and you may not even have the same director who understands the issues that you're all going to have to go through to keep you all on the same page.
You know that scene in Lost in Translation where Bill Murray's doing a commercial and like the director's like, and then the woman says, more intensity.
Yeah.
That is what happens. Like you are on Skype with like the foreign team and they are talking through a translator and they kind of got to tell you like basically what they want. And just y'all got to figure it out together. So I can definitely see how things get lost in translation like that.
Yeah, it's a tricky one, and the word censorship comes up a lot. Obviously, that's a very inflammatory word.
That's a hard line to take.
It's a hard line. I think technically,
connotations to that in addition to the.
That's the issue is the
yeah.
connotations. Like, I think if you take the connotations away, yes, most of this is a form of censorship, whether it be self-censorship or literal censorship. An example would be changing the age of a character because of the difference in age of consent between Japan and most Western nations. Changing an outfit because you feel that a nation's not going to be so accepting of it. I mean, by very definition, censorship is the suppression or prohibition of parts of media based on the idea of it being obscene, politically unacceptable, or a threat to security. I mean, yes, politically unacceptable or in some cases obscene. The point being that they want to sell games in as many places as possible. They don't want to create a massive uproar over a thing which is relatively minor, something which really doesn't affect the story all that much. There was an issue with, oh God, what's it called? Xenoblade, that's the one, yes. There was a costume where a younger girl had a kind of bikini top that's not in the Western version. There's a couple of other games like that.
Oh, and plenty of games like that.
There's plenty of them like that. And, you know, you can say they should stick to their guns and we're not that prudish, but I mean, honestly, in the views of Japan, we really are that prudish, actually.
Oh, yeah.
And it's like, it's a risk they're just not willing to take for something that really just does not matter.
Well, that
in
was
the
the
grand
whole
scheme of
thing.
things.
Like looking at so many art to come back to the Nintendo thing that was so recent. It blew my mind how many people were arguing over whether or not like changing this fucking squid kid, you know, huzzah
Gesture.
symbol was like a huge issue of censorship. And I was like, Nintendo is trying to sell this game to kids, and more importantly, to the parents of kids. I'm sure that once they realized that that meant something sort of offensive in many areas,
That'll
they
be
were
that
like,
country's tabloid
"Oh."
immediately, next day.
Yeah,
I'm
they were like,
sure
"Oh
the
shit, we should
artists
change that."
Themselves would have been like, "Oh, if I'd known, I would never would have done that." And that's
Exactly.
the problem is that like censorship, the term censorship is so loaded.
It's
and it
loaded,
has
yes.
So many connotations of suppression of artistic ideas.
Yes.
And in this case, in a lot of these cases, it's them self-censoring because I mean it just doesn't make sense. And that I understand, and it's not like the companies telling the artists behind things or anybody involved with the development like, you can't do this, like we're gonna quash your ideas because of the bottom line. It's everybody is working together to try and make a product that is gonna do well.
That's the thing about it, is that we also have to realize this is a form of art, but it's also a product.
Yeah,
If it's
also a
just
business.
art, if all it is art for art's sake, you can make a strong argument to say you should not change this based on people's cultural sensibilities, because it's art. But it's also a product that you have to sell, and these localization decisions that are censorship, but they're censorship as a business decision.
Right.
Yes, removing that from the game is literal censorship, just as beeping out a swear word would be in a song or a television show. But they did it.
Context.
Yes, they did it for a reason. Yes, okay, they changed the artistic vision. Artistic vision has changed all the time. Like, in a product, I don't actually value the artistic vision of the person that created it as much as my personal experience, because I bought the product. Like, if I want to... in a PC game, if I were to turn off a certain kind of animation, even though it was the artistic vision of the people that developed it, I would say I want to turn it off, and I'd say I should be able to. And most people would never argue against that. But some people say, oh, well, that shouldn't be in the game because the artistic vision should never be censored or changed. No, it should, because it's a consumer product that I'm experiencing and paid for.
Yeah,
and if they decide, sorry.
I mean, just the subjectivity of the artistic experience, experiencing art is something that, we do have to take into account.
And I think some people listening to this conversation right now are going to say, wait, but in the past, you've said that, that like, if you have a problem with something, then that's like your problem and not the problem of the person who made it. But the thing is like, this is a situation where the person who made the thing decided, I'm going to change the thing to, create a better experience. If Nintendo decided, no, we're not going to change that, then that's totally up to them. And then
that's okay too.
As consumers could say, I'm not going to play that game. And that's totally up to us. And it's not our place to be like, I can't believe that Nintendo didn't change that thing. And I'm so offended, right? Like, it's just.
This reminds me a lot of Buttgate with Tracer's butt and Overwatch. And how
so many gates. Oh my God.
Like how the world exploded when Blizzard was like, you know what? We've decided that this doesn't represent our character the way we want it to. And, we got called out on this, and we agree. And we're just going to remove it.
Here's the thing, though.
That they were like compromising their artistic integrity and stuff, but it was a decision that they'd made.
There's more to it. That was a really interesting one because that was a placeholder pose that wasn't very interesting. Like, it's more, they did not cave to pressure. They were already changing it to the point where the thing had a new animation within like 8 hours. There's no way they just came up with that after a complaint. They were already intending to change it and changed it to more of a British World War II pin-up pose that is completely appropriate to somebody who's wearing a World War II bomber British fighter jacket. The pose is now more, more butt, in fact.
It shows a little more.
But it's more in character.
Looking over the shoulder was boring. Yeah, in this case, I guess the issue with that is very much PR, because people are going to take from that statement what they want to take. People are going to take victories. People are going to take defeats. People are going to spin it the way they want to spin it. In reality, of course, that was a placeholder pose that was just ripped from Hanzo that they were going to change. There's always a little bit more to it than these oversimplifications, and these issues are often used as political fodder for people. They're used as a weapon to beat other people around the head with that they don't agree with. And I don't like that because it ruins the nuance of the discussion.
And that's why you simply can't say the nuance is in the term censorship. The nuance isn't in the term like localization is not censorship. Like it is plenty of censorship in it. But the discussion then comes into what is that censorship and when is the extreme?
What harm did this censorship do?
Define censorship. What does censorship mean to you? And in the larger context of art, what are they doing?
How did it affect the product? A lot of people are standing on a very base principle rather than taking everything in context. The problem with standing on a base principle is that it offers very little room for nuance and compromise. Principles are great, but the world is complicated. And a simple principle applied blankly is zero tolerance, and that's generally not good. There's always going to be a situation where your principle might not work, might not 100% apply. You got to be careful about that.
Deals in absolutes.
You do have to watch out for that. Have principles, but be ready to apply them in context to the situation and maybe say, maybe in this situation that's not so bad. And maybe sometimes it is. Well, maybe there is. Do I think that Phoenix Wright game should come over? And they should
absolutely
and they should keep that contextual historical racism in. Yes, and what they should do at the start is say this is a product of the time. I mean, for fuck's sake,
Warner Brothers does that for their political cartoons, and I think that's
old cartoons.
They say if we try to erase this history,
exactly,
that's no better.
Right.
You know, we were talking earlier about how the medium of games is growing in our lifetime, and the fact is that we have this new art form, and the discourse about it is developing. And I think to be able to have these nuanced conversations is super important, because to be able to talk about art helps us have better art. And I think, yeah, a lot of times these discussions get turned into like flame wars,
Culture war,
and
that kind of thing.
yeah, and I really appreciate when we can talk about these things in an elevated manner, because it's gonna help the future of the medium.
Yeah, in other words, don't argue with it over Twitter, because you're never going to have a good conversation there.
140 characters is not enough for a nuanced discussion ever.
About anything. About
Twitter's terrible.
Anything.
Twitter should be deleted from the internet. It's the death of modern discourse. It's always, it's an issue you have to keep an eye on.
For GIF, I think it's good for
Twitter's for
passing
gifs.
back and forth.
Twitter's for gifts. Twitter's for bullshit. Yeah, it's just constantly keep an eye on it and encourage companies that maybe are feeling a bit gun shy about certain things, like that Phoenix Wright game, just to do it. Trust in the audience. Trust in the audience's ability to understand context. Put a thing at the start that says, hey, this is this. This is why this is here.
Yep.
And you'll generally find those people are going to be okay with it. We are a growing medium, but we have a very grown-up consumer base. As much as sometimes they'll act otherwise online, those people do not represent the overall millions and millions and millions of people playing video games. And the shitty tabloids that like to jump on every awful thing that the new great Satan video games did, they're not representative of the way the world thinks either. And you can't compromise to those people. You've got to just ignore them. You have to appeal to that wider majority of sensible adult people that can absolutely handle these concepts. Because let's be honest, as a medium, if we're going to grow, we have to. Television and film and books have dealt with that. There is a damn good reason why To Kill a Mockingbird is still taught in schools. You can't take that away. You can't erase it. That's a path to untold horrible things.
Yeah. And even for kids that are consuming this medium, I don't think we give them enough credit. I think if you do have disclaimers in the beginning, if you can discuss, and you as parents have an obligation to discuss it with your kids as well. Let's not forget that.
For sure.
Bing, there it is.
I mean, you're teaching kids To Kill a Mockingbird and A Handmaid's Tale and Huckleberry Finn and so on and so forth, and you don't think they could handle a video game?
Yeah.
Are you fucking insane?
Those books are school assignments. If a game taught them the same lesson, they'd pick up on that shit instantly. That's where they're learning all this stuff.
Yeah, so, like I said, take it on a case-by-case basis and don't freak out. Have a rational, reasoned, measured response to these kind of things. Sometimes it's good, sometimes it's not good, although we can all agree that shitty translation is shitty translation. And we don't like it.
And even then, I totally understand why that happens. Sometimes you get coming, you're like, oh God, what is this? What does this mean? And you just gotta do your best, and kudos to all the people that have to deal with that.
Shout out to Dynasty Warriors 3's terrible translation and the amazingness that was Cao Cao and his son Cao Pi, the two of them, the greatest warriors in ancient China. I will never forget them. R.I.P. I love them to death.
R.I.P. Cao Pi.
R.I.P. Cao Pi.
All right, now we've done that, let's move on to releases, shall we? Going through from May the 23rd to May the 27th. What is coming up? Anything worthwhile? Let's find out.
May 23rd, we've got Mirage Arcane Warfare, which some of us have played.
Most of us got sponsored to play that, so take our words with a pinch of salt. The follow-up to Chivalry, but this time in a fantasy Arabian setting with abilities and such.
So there's that. Starpoint Gemini Warlords is the next game. It's space. There's a lot of space going on.
Yeah, third-person capital ship combat with 4X and RPG elements. Sounds great to me. What I've been told is it's a bit grindy. Like, stuff takes a long time to do.
There's so many games that I really want to try out, but if it is grindy, like I don't have the time to do them, and it kills me because back in the day, like grinding is so therapeutic for me.
Yeah.
I don't have the time for that. You're totally right. Here's one for Jesse.
Yeah, Samurai Warriors Spirit of Sonata.
I'm so excited. I want it. I want it today. I'm going to buy it.
It is out today. You can have it, I believe. I don't know what it... I mean, it's just another Samurai Warriors game, right? There's nothing special about this one, or...?
No, but it's doing the Sonata clan.
Oh, okay.
Of the Warring States.
Of the Warring States.
I'll leave you to the Warriors series, I think. That's all yours.
Oh, I love every single one of them. I don't give a fuck.
Next up is still Division Normandy 44.
Yeah, I played the beta of this one.
RTS.
Yes, pretty tricky. World War II real-time strategy. A lot of learning to do. You can have massive 10-on-10 battles, which are crazy.
Wow.
All I could say is I got my arse handed to me in the beta. It is a very tricky game. You've got to think big. You got to think like the entire battlefield. So not easy, but very rewarding when it works well.
This next game I kept in just for me.
I'm
It's
sure
called
you did.
Fuse Cat.
He's not predictable.
Everybody plays as weird, like, cut out pictures of cat heads, and you shoot missiles and things at each other.
Okay, I'm 100% down for that.
Right? It looks so dumb, and I want to play it so bad.
Was it made by a YouTuber, or was that just part of the
promo?
promo?
I think a YouTuber
Was
made
it?
this game. Yeah.
Oh, god damn it.
Well, we haven't. I don't think we've seen a good
dumb
game made
cat
by a
games?
YouTuber, so.
Any dumb cat games I am in for. So remember we played President Cat?
Yeah, I played President Cat. Hell yeah.
No.
I tried to bang the president, aka the cat, and it
I chose
didn't
the
go very well.
dog.
Yeah.
Hopeless. You're all hopeless. Next.
Next up is called Killers and Thieves.
This looks so cool.
Yeah, you become the leader of a thieves guild.
I played a little bit of this before the show. The interface is confusing. The stealth parts, the actual infiltration and stealing, I also found a bit weird. I don't know, maybe I just played it wrong. I bounced off it initially, though.
I want it to be good.
I hope it's good. Maybe I just fucked up initially. I only played about 20 minutes of it, so I don't have a lot to say.
Next up.
Was into
Sorry.
rogues for D&D, so that sounds enticing to me.
Right? I think it looks fun. Next up is Trackmania Lagoon.
Another
It's a racing game.
Yep, another Trackmania in the series. Lots of water in this one, apparently.
The game after that is called Gene Shift.
Hmm.
It's a top-down shooter.
Yeah, there's a demo for this. It's in early access. Brutal gunplay, insane vehicle action, and a co-op campaign. Battle zombies, because that hasn't been overdone before.
Someone got to kill those zombies.
Yeah, God.
Next up is Starcrawlers.
Yeah, this looks kind of interesting. For one, Ben Prunty does the soundtrack. That's the guy who did the FTL soundtrack, so that's cool.
Oh, nice.
It's a sort of Phantasy Star-like dungeon crawler with rival corporations and RPG battles in it. Seems like could be kind of cool.
Well, that's kind of neat.
Yeah, I might try this.
The next game is called Embers of Mirim, which looks like a sci-fi fantasy kind of a game. I know there's aliens. There's aliens in it, but it's listed as fantasy, and it's got lots of fantasy sort of like colors and aesthetics in it.
Gorgeous.
Yeah.
You have the ability to split between light and dark creatures, and you control one with each analog stick. That's cool.
Wow.
Here's another game for Jesse, Dynasty Feud.
Get out of town. What is this?
It's a team-based platform brawler.
It's Smash-like.
Dynasty Feud.
Dynasty Feud.
There's been quite a few Smash-like games lately. Brawlout, Rivals of Aether. If you want your Smash Brothers fix and you don't want to play Smash Brothers, this might be one of them.
Yeah,
Don't
it's
want to
always
own
just
a Nintendo thing.
interesting to have these, because I remember back in the day, like, yeah, Smash Brothers was pretty much all you had, and it's really exciting.
Now you got some choice. Always good. All right, moving on.
This next one I want so bad. It's called Invasion.
There's about there's 5 games named this. Which one is it?
This?
Yeah, which invasion?
There's
Maybe I
tons of
don't
them.
know. Never mind. I'm looking at the wrong one, I think.
What
yeah.
They didn't think this through.
Now
They're
I'm so disappointed.
I think it's this one. Yeah, a $4.99 bullet hell. I was gonna say, you want a bullet hell?
Man, no. The invasion that I looked at was one where aliens meet a bunny.
Not that game
VR
at all.
VR game by the Madagascar creators.
Not even
where
close.
You're aliens and you meet bunnies.
No.
Oh, well.
Next.
Moving on, Spellspire.
Yeah, it's a word game matched up with an action role playing. So,
Oof.
yeah, you
I love
is
words.
Scrabble and kill stuff with words, which is neat. Yeah, that's cool.
Always into stuff like that.
Okay.
Game after that is called Heart's Medicine Hospital Heat.
First off, amazing. It's the sequel to the first Heart's Medicine game.
There are
That's
several
kinda
of
cool,
these.
but more importantly, at 7 seconds in this video, the way that man lifts that woman up is like the most masculine thing that he's like, "Ugh, I've saved you now. Mwah! Love it.
Right.
Yep. Next up is the Fidelio Incident. Single player
Yes.
first person thriller set off the coast of Iceland.
Yeah, walking simulator kind of thing. Looks quite
Yeah,
nice.
it looks beautiful, but
You get-
yeah, it looks like it might be.
Yeah, you crash a plane, stuff happens to you.
I'm in. I like walking simulators.
Yeah, I'm cool with them too. Next up is Battle Summoners. It's a card game, a VR
VR.
card game.
Oh, it's a like VR Clash Royale kind of.
Okay.
Oh.
I'm not sure I want to play that, but yeah, I see what it is. I just like, do I really want to play this in VR? I don't know.
Maybe instead you would like to play Defenders of the Realm in VR.
Probably also not, but let's see. Futuristic weapons, no futuristic weapons, no fancy schmancy. I mean, this is goblins are looting with two T's apparently. Right, the trailer has some spelling issues. It looks like a really bad version of Orcs Must Die. Yep. That, yeah, maybe not.
Next up is Walkerman, which is a very pretty looking visual novel.
Okay.
After that is Impact Winter.
Oh yeah, I heard about this, and right now people hate it.
Really?
Yeah, so it's a survival game kind of in the frozen wilderness, which sounded great, and it also looked awesome. The art style was great. Right now it has mostly negative Steam reviews. The reason? It mostly doesn't work.
Oh,
Like,
great. Perfect.
Yeah, it's just broken. It's a mess, according to this.
Huh.
So I'd wait on that one. Wait for them to fix it.
Gotcha.
There are
Next
people
up,
saying there's no mouse support.
Oh, God. Yeah.
What?
great.
Terrible idea.
Next up is Smugglecraft, which was a kickstarted like hovercraft racing game for
Great.
PC and PS4.
Okay.
After that is Darksiders War Mastered Edition.
Wii U.
Oh,
Finally, Wii U is getting that. Right.
keep it up, Wii U. You're doing it.
After that, Disgaea 5.
Oh, that's for
Disgaea
Switch,
5
isn't it?
complete for the
Yeah.
Switch.
That's a good game for Switch. Yeah, I also heard rumors it's coming to PC, which is nice. So there's another tactics game that you should not play at all because it's really hard. It's obnoxiously difficult.
Next up, I've only seen the anime of this series, but it's apparently a series of game. Utawareru Mono, Mask of Deception.
I think you made that up.
For
It's a
PS4,
tactics game.
Vita, and PlayStation Vita.
It's a tactics
another-
game as well.
There we go.
Looks
The
tactics
anime is
is.
great. I've never played the games though.
Does the anime seem
Um,
like it would lend itself well to a strategy game?
I think so. Yeah, lots of fantasy, like political intrigue stuff going on. I'm down. And last up for May 23rd is Star Ocean Till the End of Time.
Oh,
for
yeah,
PS4.
they're porting number 3 to the PS4. That was the best one, by far.
Wow.
It's cool.
May 24th, Black Desert Online.
Oh, is that the full version? Because that's been out for a while, right? I guess they're just porting it
Yeah.
to Steam. That's that big MMO.
Mm-hmm.
Wasn't Stritton playing that for a bunch?
Yeah, Sam played the shit out of that game.
Yeah. Wonder what it's like now.
I don't know. Next up is Unit 4. Looks like a fun little platformer.
Co-op platformer.
Mm.
Up to 4 players. Okay. Looks all right.
And then Empyrean Frontier.
Heard of this before. Why have I heard of this before?
RTS. That's
Oh,
probably why you've heard of it.
Yeah, big space RTS, which is cool. It's an early access. All right, I'll wait for it to finish.
I think to add on to the 24th, I think that the free-to-play version of Awesome Knots also starts on the 24th.
Nice.
Okay.
May 25th, we have Balthazar's Dream, which has some of that pixely artwork that I'm always
You're
weak
a
for.
dog. It's a
You're a
platformer. You're a dog trying to save your master.
Black flipping
Yeah.
dog, apparently. Next.
Yeah, you're gonna save him. Next up is Medusa's Labyrinth for VR.
Mythological first-person horror. Ancient Greece, potentially interesting.
I remember seeing this. Yeah, interesting. I wonder if it'll be a little more than just kind of tech demo-y.
I hope so.
Yeah.
It looks pretty good.
Super Hot VR comes out on the 25th as well.
Yes, finally.
I loved Super Hot so much. It's such
Yeah,
a fun
man.
game. I played so much Super Hot. It's just such an elegant, interesting idea, and VR is perfect. For it.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
The VR version's been out for Oculus for a while. This is the Vive port. So if you were complaining it was on Oculus, it's not anymore. So, and it's great. I played it on Oculus. It's fucking phenomenal.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm looking forward to it because we have the Vive at home, so we'll definitely be downloading this.
Totally worth it. One of the best VR games, no doubt.
Oh, yes.
Next up is Planet Nomads.
It's another early access sci-fi survival sandbox thingy. Yeah.
It's pretty though.
Yeah, in the screenshots, I can't wait to see what the game looks like. It probably doesn't look like that, I can tell you.
Next up is Vanquish, which is another sci-fi game, but it's a shooter game.
It's a fucking platinum game. It's one of the best third-person shooters ever fucking made, is what it is. It's
so
amazing.
Cool. I'm ready for it.
Vanquish is great. $20 on Steam by the looks of it for this. I can't wait. It's gonna be great.
Next up is Ophidia. Consume all life as a serpentine demigod.
Okay.
Damn.
Oh, the art style on that is amazing.
Yeah, it's super pretty,
Look
right?
at that thing. I don't exactly know how you play it, but it looks amazing.
Yeah, intriguing now.
Yeah. Cool.
Next up is a game called Mid Boss.
Kill your enemies, possess their bodies, take their abilities as your own, and turn-based procedurally generated death labyrinth. Oh, this is a literal roguelike, as in a proper one. That looks a bit...
Interesting.
Oh, that looks kind of neat, actually. I might play that.
And next up is The Girl and the Robot for Wii U. I think that The Girl and the Robot was already out for PC.
It is a Steam game, yeah. You can get
it. It is? Okay.
Yeah. Third-person, action-adventure, fairy tale world.
And, of course, Kung Fury Street Rage for Vita.
Yeah! I really enjoyed that film.
Yeah, me too, man.
Very
Yeah.
much. It's
Street
a very
Rage.
good movie.
Street Rage is like one-finger death punch. It's actually pretty fun for what it is.
Oh, great.
Like $3. It's great.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's cool what it is.
May 26th, we have just a game that looks like utter madness called Soul Harvest.
Harvest souls to summon armies of minions or cast unholy magics. Interesting. Where's the gameplay? Oh my god, that is fucking nuts.
Yeah.
This is it's a local multiplayer strategy game. Damn, why is that not online? Oh, that looks great though. I ought to play that at some point. That looks fucking awesome.
Next up is a game called Get Even, which looks like another walk around first person shooter horror game.
Yes. We'll see how that one goes. For that price, it better be good. It's not cheap.
Next up is a visual novel with fucking incredible looking art to me, called Mert Tales of the Cold Land, Chapter 1. So that's coming out on the 26th.
I don't know what's going on.
It's in free. The first episode is free. Let's try and find
It's not in English for you?
The trailer isn't. The trailer is in Russian.
Yeah. I'm gonna
Oh,
assume
but
so.
if you click through the thumbnails though, it's
Okay.
translated.
It's just the trailers in Russian. All right.
Yeah.
Oh,
Next up is
That's-
Global Soccer Manager 2017.
Yep.
Of course, because
Lots of those.
I know y'all Europeans, you love your soccer managers.
No,
okay?
we don't love soccer managing. We like
yeah,
football.
you do. You're soccer managers, right? You love
Football
soccer managers.
managing. Hopeless.
Next up is called Star Smashers.
Okay, cool name. What's the game? You are the captain of the Space Beagle. Okay.
Sure are.
Ooh, cool looking space combat game. Possibly turn-based, kind of neat. I like the look of it. Hope it doesn't suck. I'll play that.
Friday the 13th game.
Oh, it's
Actually
finally
coming
out.
for PC and PS4. I know.
I am so intrigued by this. I'm gonna.
Anyone
definitely
played
put
the
this
beta
on
of that?
screen.
No, I never played
No.
it. I feel like most of the people I know that played it were like, yeah, it's pretty fun.
Yeah, those
But-
kind of hide and seek asymmetrical games have not really done well up to this point. Most of them are bad.
Yeah.
I wonder if this
Bums me
one
out.
isn't. Yeah, hopefully this is better.
The sequel to Emily is Away, Emily is Away 2, also
That-
comes out on the 26th. I
Yeah,
really
that's
liked
the
Emily is
first
Away.
one. Yeah, really interesting narrative. Again, one of those things that does daring things with story, which I like. So I'm looking forward to this one.
Cool.
Yeah, and it man, that game was a weird nostalgia trip too. As a person
Yeah.
who used AOL Instant Messenger like
Oh
my
my
whole
God.
life, I was just like, oh my god.
I know. It's just really, and that the sounds really just brought me back to like waiting
Ugh.
till my crush came on to AOL. Like, hi, how's it going?
It's amazing.
Yeah.
The next game is called Constructor. In
Oh,
a town where anything goes, you can
this
rise
again.
to the top or take others down.
so this is the HD version of a really cool old tycoon game where you kind of played a mafia boss. They are bringing this to Switch, I think, as well, for some reason. I do want to play this, though. Back in the day, this was the absolute shit. Hopefully, the HD version is as good as that. We've been missing a really good tycoon game lately. Yeah,
So
I
might as
love
well
that.
play a tycoon game where you're a
Oh, cool.
villain, right?
Absolutely, yeah.
Oh, please! You're always the villain in a tycoon game.
Next up is a game that I had some trouble finding. So
It's Rhyme, yeah?
I'm sorry. Yeah, Rhyme. R-I-M-E.
Yes, right here. Yeah,
Cool.
it's right there. This has been anticipated for a long time. This has been delayed over and over again. It finally seems to have come out. I think they're also bringing it to Switch. It's just sort of, it's a kind of journey-like adventure game.
Ooh.
It looks beautiful. I really hope it's as good as it looks. Yeah, that's
Wow. Oh,
gorgeous.
Oh, yeah, you found it so easily. What the fuck? I couldn't find it anywhere on Steam.
Weird.
Anyways, Ultra Street Fighter 2 is also coming out for the Switch.
Overpriced Street Fighter 2 is like $50 for fucking Street Fighter.
What?
Yeah.
Damn. For Street
Switch.
Fighter 2?
Switch games, man. They're expensive. They added like one or two things, like here's $50. Pfft, no.
How about give us more Switches though?
Damn.
Next,
And Guilty Gear Xrd Rev 2
new version. Yeah,
for PS4.
cool.
Our last game on the 27th is
Here.
Icarus Starship Command Simulator.
The
Put that
title
in
looks
there for you,
promising.
TB.
Yeah, question is it going to be any good? Looks a bit like a more complex FTL, but the interface looks impenetrably bad. That's a lot of weird looking icons that make no sense. Okay,
Maybe they ramp up.
I hope so,
Start out easy.
because it looks hideous.
You're so positive.
Maybe it starts you off with just like an on and off switch, you know?
Yeah.
The whole ship. And then,
Yes.
Gets more complex as time goes on.
Sure.
you know.
Interesting ideas, but holy shit, looks like they way overdid it. Oh well. That's it for releases, folks. Yeah,
The
quite a few interesting ones on the way to pay attention to. Yes?
Yarp.
Cool. Glad to hear it. We're about done with the show, folks. Thank you very much for watching the Corruptional Podcast. But before we go, I'd love to let you know what we're doing over the next couple of weeks. Our guest, Erika Ishii, thank you very much for spending so much time with us today. We'd love to know, what are your current projects? What's going on? Where can we find you?
Oh my God, thank you so much for having me. I had such a blast. You can find me always on Twitter at Erika Ishii, which is my name. I have a Twitch channel, which is twitch.tv/Erika Ishii. Mondays I play horror games with my friends. We call it Scaredy Cats because we dress up as cats and then we play horror games and get really, really, really scared.
Okay.
Oh my God, there's so much screaming. Don't listen with headphones. Thursdays I play.
Time out.
Yes.
Time out. I'm about to put you on blast. Ladies and gentlemen, go watch the Sony press conference at last year's E3. When they show off, if you want to know how she screams, when they show off the Resident Evil, I believe it was, when they show off the Resident Evil
7.
They show off the Resident Evil 7 trailer. There's a moment where nothing scary is happening on the screen, and you hear like a blood-curdling scream right there.
That was me.
There. You can hear it in the video. Sitting next to you, it was like, why are you screaming?
I get scared so easily.
Go back and find that. It's an amazing moment. All right.
Amazing. I love it.
Sorry to interrupt.
Yeah, so we do that. I do story-based games and crazy shenanigans like Nerf Wars or cooking or just all sorts of crazy things in my house. On Geek and Sundry, I'm here on I'm here Tuesdays and Wednesdays and Fridays. Fridays is like a big party at the end of the day in the evening. So if you guys are ever in town on a Friday evening, and you like to stop by, I won't make you dance if you don't want to, Jesse. But we have like an improv team, a musical improv team, and we have like magicians or musicians or sword fighters or crazy things.
What the fuck?
Yeah, no, I produce this show and I just know a bunch of crazy people that have these crazy skills, and I'm like, hey, come do them on Twitch with me. So that's super fun. OMG, it's Firefox and I have a gaming news show where we interview developers, and that's actually going to be in like an hour from now. On Geek and Sundry's Twitch channel, twitch.tv/Geek and Sundry, if you want to join us for that. Let's see, gosh, I am 6 characters in Master X Master, the new NCSoft game that's coming out soon-ish. It's gonna be fun. I really hope you like me. I hope I do okay.
Don't screw it up.
Yeah, I know. Can't screw it up. Battlestar game is coming out in summer. Right now, the Crypt of the Necrodancer DLC is out, and I play the character in that.
Cool.
Cool, dude.
Yeah. So, but yeah, I love doing. And Instagram, I'm at Samurai Erika, and you can see my crazy life.
Fantastic.
So much, everybody.
Thank you very much for spending so much time. Very much appreciated. Now, before I let you two tell us what's going on, a reminder, we are at Momocon this weekend. You can come and see us. These are the dates. The dates are probably wrong on the screen. Yep, they're off by one day. It's Friday 26th, Saturday 27th. All you need to know is it's this weekend, so just ignore the fact those days are one day off. Friday and Saturday. That's the schedule on the screen right there. Co-optional podcast on the Friday, autograph session right after that, co-optional lounge on the Saturday playing Snake Oil and Super Fight, and I've got my panel on the Friday afternoon as well. Tickets are still available, and if you can't attend, there is the Twitch link on the screen right there, twitch.tv/team/Momocon. We'll be on one of those 6 streams. It's going to be there. Come down and say hi if you happen to be in the Atlanta, Georgia area. We will be there, and it should be a lot of fun. Regardless of that, we're probably making videos too, because that's how we make our living. Jesse, what's coming up on your channel this week? What's going on?
Yo, more of that hot, infectious madness is coming. And some more fun games here and there, but mostly it's just prepping stuff before I vanish for Momocon and get to make weird Snapchat videos about my experiences with animus. So expect a lot of that.
Body pillows.
Yes.
Don't encourage him.
I don't want one.
Dodger, what you got coming up outside of the Momocon visit?
Anime news, gaming news, more box talks if you guys have been enjoying those. I stream, and yeah, going to Momocon, and then immediately after that going to Europe for a few weeks to get hitched. So if there's like weird hiccups in everything I normally do, it's probably because shit's going on. So keep an eye on social media, and we'll still be like tweeting and putting pictures up on Instagram and whatever else. So yeah.
Cool. Yeah. That'll put it in me as well. I don't know if I'll get anything done before driving down on Thursday evening to Momocon. If I do, I'd love to do Endless Space, but I'm going to need to put a lot of hours into that damn thing. So we'll see. Maybe, maybe not. The VODs for our panels will be available one way or the other. I'll probably just put them on our channel. But keep an eye on it. Keep an eye on my Twitter, twitter.com/TotalBiscuit. I'll let you know when they're going live, where they're going live, and all that good stuff. And hopefully we get to see you there down at the convention. I think that is about it. I certainly hope that's about it. I don't think we missed anything. Thank you very much to our guest, Erika Ishii. Go check her out on Twitter. Links being below her face for the last 3 hours. You can hardly miss it. You've been watching the Co-optional Podcast. We are done. Thank you very much and good night.
Bye.